overnight, and some outbreaks of heavy, possibly thundery rain feeding in across Northern Ireland too. Further east, it's dry with clear skies, a few fog patches possible for some eastern parts of England, but for all, it is going to be a relatively warm night. Pretty warm indeed, actually, across the west. Most places seeing temperatures staying well in double figures. As we go through tomorrow morning then, a west-east split across many parts of England and Wales. Brighter, sunnier towards the east, more clouds, some wet weather towards the west. Across Northern Ireland, a fairly cloudy start, and there could be some heavy bursts of rain around. Similar across the southwest of Scotland, but elsewhere across much of Scotland, it's a fine, sunny morning, albeit there will be a bit of low cloud affecting parts of Orkney and Shetland. Then as we go through the day, the cloud and outbreaks of rain feed a little bit further eastwards, but nonetheless, some eastern parts staying dry through much of the day and just turning a bit cloudier as we go into the afternoon. The heaviest rain will be towards the western parts of Northern Ireland. Risk of some intense thunderstorms here. Temperatures for all likely to be a degree or so higher than today, which means we could be looking at highs of around 28 or 29 Celsius in the southeast. Then looking ahead to Friday, and there will be some further showery rain on offer, most of it towards the northwest, but a few outbreaks will feed further south and east, although some southeastern parts probably avoiding all of it and staying dry with some decent bright sunny weather, and temperatures even higher still. We could be looking in the low 30s. Fresher and wetter as we go through the weekend.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
I'm Andrew Pearce. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Afghan data disaster raises concerns of eye-watering compensation payouts.
Rumours the taxpayer could foot the bill for up to £1 billion in damages.
As questions are raised about who in government knew what and why it was hidden in plain sight.
The Prime Minister suspends 4 Labour MPs after a series of rebellions, but could they jump ship and join a new Jeremy Corbyn-led far-left coalition?
And Sir Keir gets on with business as he prepares to meet the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz in hopes of signing a shared defence deal.
Pakistan Airlines flights are allowed into Britain for the first time in 5 years, but just why has the government chosen now to lift the ban? We'll be getting the details with Charlie Peters.
It's out for fire!
And Prince Harry is in his element as he visits the very landmine field Princess Diana famously walked through.
And happy birthday to Queen Camilla. Her Majesty releases a new portrait to mark her 78th birthday today.
And never mind the cost of the flight, getting to the airport might set you back more than a few bob. The price of drop-offs at Britain's biggest airport is revealed, and you'll never guess which airport charges the most.
After a wife made headlines thanking her husband for staying at home so she could carry on her career, we're debating, is it emasculating or empowering to be a proud stay-at-home dad?
Good morning. The 153rd Open Championship is underway in just a few minutes' time at Royal Portrush, with home favourites Rory McIlroy teeing off at 3:10. And in football, Manchester United legend Teddy Sheringham has some damning words of criticism for Marcus Rashford.
Morning. A real mishmash of meteorology today. Some warmth and humidity across the southeast. Generally a lot more cloud compared to yesterday, and the potential for some thunderstorms across Northern Ireland later on. Join me later for all the details.
Good morning. It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Dawn Neeson.
And I'm Cameron Walker, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Start. So good morning to you this morning. Thank you so much for your company on this Thursday morning. Yes, nearly the weekend. So really appreciating your company. And I have the joy of Cameron Walker with me today. Lots of big royal stories, so it's great to have Cameron here as well.
Absolutely.
And it's a bit of an unexpected surprise, it has to be said.
It was, yes. Stephen is still on holiday in the south of France following Ellie Costello's wedding, so he's having a lovely time. So I've been, maybe, we'll see. Well, I've been called in at last minute to accompany Dawn. Then I'm going on holiday in 2 days' time. But as you saw in those headlines there, the prices of drop-off, so driving someone to the airport to drop them off before their flight, has gone up at most UK airports, but most European airports don't charge at all. Why on earth is that?
Why that? Do you ever feel out there that just stepping outside your door at the moment costs you money?
Yeah.
Unintentionally, it doesn't matter what you're doing.
I got fined at the airport.
You got fined at the airport?
I did. I got a fine.
Just for being
days later. You have to book in advance.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I just thought you could, because at Gatwick you can actually do it whereby you go into whichever terminal is north or south, there's only 2, and you go out and you pay on the way out. It's like a £5. But at Heathrow it was different. I learned afterwards, subsequently, that I had to book in advance, and I got, I think it's about £60 fine, something like that.
The thing is, the cost
costs more than the flight.
Well, the costs are going up of flights anyway, aren't they? But like even the budget airlines nowadays, you have to pay for an extra bag. Yeah. You've got to pay for extra leg room. It is hassle.
Yeah.
It is hassle. It's aggravation.
Do you get that horrible feeling? You know, when you're sort of like you got through your check-in bit and you're about to sort of like get your hand luggage onto the flight, and you see that metal cage there, and you know your bag fits in it, but suddenly you're breaking out into a cold sweat and you're trying to squish bits in because you know they're going to charge you more than the cost of your flight if it's like that much over, like a centimetre over.
I sometimes think it's false economy as well, getting a flight at 6 o'clock in the morning, because of course you pay an extra, you pay less money for a 6 o'clock flight, but then you've got to pay for a taxi to get to the airport because none of the trains are running at that time in the morning.
Yeah, true, but then you do minimise the risk of the length of the journey. I do think if it's a red-eye flight, then, you know, if you're travelling in the middle of the night, at least there's no traffic on the road, you're probably more likely to get to where you want to go on time, whereas if you go in the middle of the day, it's just a lottery sometimes.
Oh, but then you probably get done for speeding. You'll be 2 or 3 miles over the speed limit, and then you'll get a £100 fine and 3 penalty points on your licence. And oh my God, just make it stop. It's so expensive just living.
Well, do let us know if you're on your way to the airport, if you're off on holiday this weekend. Of course, the schools are breaking up on Friday, so do let us know your holiday plans. gbnews.com/your say.
Yes, indeed. OK, now to our top story. We've got an absolute packed show for you, by the way. To our top story, the Afghan data breach scandal rumbles on as taxpayers, that's you, could face a £1 billion bill of compensation claimants, according to the Daily Mail today.
Well, this comes as, according to the Mail, money-hungry lawyers sign up thousands of Afghan leak victims, hoping to cash in £250,000 of your money each.
It follows the Ministry of Defence admitting 100,000 Afghans were left at risk of death due to the breach.
Now, thousands of Afghan nationals were secretly relocated to the UK after their names were accidentally sent in an email in February 2022. But the leak was only exposed in August 23.
Because, yeah, absolutely, you know, a super injunction preventing reporting the mistake was imposed that same year in a bid to prevent the Taliban from finding out.
Meanwhile, in the Labour camp, 4 rebel MPs have been suspended for breaches of discipline.
Neil Duncan-Jordan, Brian Leishman, Chris Hinchcliffe and Rachel Maskell had their party whips removed.
And it follows the MPs voting against the government's controversial welfare reform bill and a rumour, a Gaza rebellion, which was in the works, apparently.
OK, well, thank you for keeping up with all that. It's a very, very complicated morning. There are so many questions that we all still need answers to. So hopefully our political commentator, Piers Pottinger, who's with us this morning, can provide a few of those answers. We know you're not running the government, Piers, although it might be a good idea at the moment. The Afghan scandal, and it is a scandal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a cock-up followed up by a cover-up.
Well, it's a monumental scandal, and I think we're about to go into the territory of endless inquiries into this. So this is going to rumble on for a long time. There's no question about it. And it started, I mean, first of all, what was a junior, relatively junior officer doing, having a list of the kind he did have, and let alone then send it out to some Afghan people in its entirety.
Afghan people?
On top of that, you do have to wonder, I mean, in the House yesterday, Keir Starmer attacked the Conservatives, saying they have a lot of questions to answer, which indeed they do.
Of course.
And particularly Messrs Cleverly, Braverman, Gove and Laura Trott. And Kemi Badenoch actually wasn't in government at this time. So amazingly, she's not in any way blameworthy in this situation. But the Labour Party are also blameworthy because they covered this up for a year, don't forget. But and they also promoted the man in charge of it, General Jenkins, to First Sea Lord. Now, I mean, in my day, years ago, when a senior officer was overseeing an area where there was an enormous catastrophe like this, they would resign as a matter of honour. I don't see how General Jenkins can possibly remain a Sea Lord. How can you have any confidence in this man who actually appeared in a Cobra meeting to discuss this situation, and when asked should he resign, he said, of course not. And I mean, I'm sorry, that's one of the first things, but there are so many heads. The thing I fear is we're going to have deputy heads role, if any.
Wow.
Yeah.
A bit like the BBC. No one who's actually responsible takes responsibility. The government and, I'm afraid, the civil service have so many questions to answer. It's going to cost the taxpayer an enormous amount of money.
Well, exactly.
And lives.
Well, yes, because the MOD is saying this whole resettlement scheme is going to cost £850 million.
Yeah.
But that's before we get into the legal costs of all these potential claims, according to the Mail.
And also the costs of housing Afghan families
we don't
in
have
hotels.
Any housing.
I mean, there's 1.2 million people waiting for houses before all these Afghans come in and take over what little room there's left in this country. I mean, it is a massive problem on so many levels.
And the thing is, Piers, we don't know numbers.
No.
I mean, these numbers are important. We don't know how many.
No.
We don't know how many of them actually genuinely work for the British forces as translators.
People who applied, this list was made up of people applying for asylum, so we don't know how many of them were genuine. Many of them saw this as an opportunity. Great, we'll come to Britain and get the handouts, like so many illegal immigrants, and even legal ones coming here. And you've got to, I mean, on so many levels, this is an absolute disaster. And it, I'm afraid, really, really raises so many questions about the confidence we have in not just our politicians, but also our civil service. Because there are so many levels where this is so many things wrong, and let alone the constitutional level, which Sir Lindsay Hoyle has already addressed, in that Parliament was deliberately kept away from the facts. Now, we have a Secrets and Intelligence Committee handpicked with individuals who are used to dealing with very sensitive secret issues. It's exactly what this committee should have been informed about, and it wasn't. Now, that is worrying. And I'm afraid that particularly the Conservatives in this case have really got themselves into a terrible mess. Politically, you have to say this is going to help Starmer in the long run, which he needs at the moment because he's got such a terrible rating.
Yeah.
But it also, I think, is going to help Reform even more, because I don't see how many people can have genuine confidence or faith in either the two main parties after this catastrophe.
Well, Sir Keir Starmer said at Prime Minister's questions yesterday that ministers who served under the party opposite, i.e. Conservatives, have serious questions to answer.
They do.
What could possibly be the reason as to why they didn't inform ordinary members of Parliament, or indeed the security...
Well, they did inform the opposition. You see, this is you've got to remember that Healey, as the opposition defence spokesman, was informed, but they weren't... Parliament wasn't informed, and it's only due to the power of the press that we got the super injunction got lifted. And thank goodness for the freedom of the press in this country, particularly one or two key newspapers like the Daily Mail and the Daily Telegraph.
And speaking as a former newspaper journalist, the press had to fight very hard to get this clear. So basically, you've got the government spending taxpayers' money to keep the government safe, and the taxpayer, you know, in the dark.
I mean, once they covered it up and they thought they got away with it, then there'd be a big sigh of relief right the way through Whitehall. And irrespective of party, I'm sure Healey really didn't want to have to announce this, because, again, the questions will come for them as well. Why did they wait a year to announce this themselves? So it's one thing, I think, making party political points out of this, it isn't productive. Although the Conservatives, certainly, who were in power at the time, have the most to answer for.
Thank you, Piers. Piers Pottinger will be back with more on this in the next hour. But what do you think? I mean, lots of you are angry. We know you're messaging already. gbnews.com/yoursay. Now, hopefully, this might cheer you up. I've got no idea what the weather's like outside at the moment, so let's find out. It's Alex Deakin with your details.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A bit more cloud for most places today compared to yesterday. Still pretty warm and humid across the southeast, and later on, some thunderstorms possible in Northern Ireland. We've seen a little bit of rain in Northern Ireland through the night. That's now pushing into southwest Scotland. A bit dull and damp to start the day over northwest England, parts of Wales and the Midlands. Much of eastern England, northern Scotland staying dry and bright, but increasing amounts of cloud pushing in here. And then later on, say the potential for some big showers and thunderstorms across across Northern Ireland. Much of East Anglia, the southeast, stays dry, warm and humid here, 27, 28. Elsewhere, we're into the low 20s generally. Should hang on to some fine weather over northern Scotland for most of the day. Sunny spells likely here, but clouds and some outbreaks of rain in western parts of Scotland on and off through the day. Not much, I don't think, getting to Edinburgh. But in Northern Ireland, we do have to watch out for some heavy thundery showers, particularly over the west, developing through the afternoon, lasting into the evening, dropping a lot of rain in a short space of time. It could cause some disruption. Bit of showery rain heading across the Midlands at times, probably brightening up in Wales and southwest England after quite a lot of cloud this morning, but then further cloud pushing in overnight. The heavy downpours should clear from Northern Ireland through the evening. We'll keep some outbreaks of rain going across Scotland, especially in the north and the west. 1 or 2 heavy showers possible elsewhere, but much of the Midlands, eastern England staying dry overnight, perhaps turning a bit misty, especially around some coast as temperatures hold up at 15, 16 degrees Celsius. Friday, we keep the fairly mixed picture with, again, the highest temperatures across the southeast, 30 degrees is possible. Quite cloudy across many central areas to begin with. That cloud should tend to break up, providing 1 or 2 showers here and there. But again, late in the day, the possibility of some heavy showers developing for Northern Ireland, maybe western Scotland as well. Low 20s here, but as I said, maybe 30 tomorrow in the southeast.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Welcome back. It's 6:15. You're watching GB News Breakfast with Cameron and Dawn. It's now time for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, my name is Marjorie and I'm a Baptist leader in Sheffield. Do you ever switch on the news and just find yourself reflecting on how much pain there is in this world? Maybe you are someone who is currently experiencing pain or loss or trouble of some kind. Often, if we are honest, we want mercy for us when we are struggling or in trouble and justice for others. We get very worked up about other people's wrongdoing and have a great ability to ignore our own stuff. The Bible acknowledges that pain and suffering in this world is very real. And in the book of Hebrews, we read that we have a God revealed in Jesus Christ, who himself was acquainted with pain, suffering, and grief. That means that today God can empathize and sympathize in our suffering and weakness. He is a God who offers us forgiveness, which we can then extend to others. In my job as a church minister, I often sit with people on the bad days. And yet I am really struck by the fact, however bad it gets, we have a God who suffered for us, suffers with us, and who offers us fresh hope. I often think of it like this: we may be walking through a valley, but he walks with us. And one day we will come out of the valley and see a new horizon, maybe seen with a different perspective. In the meantime, nothing, absolutely nothing, can keep us from his love. And the Apostle Paul said this in Romans 8, "For I am convinced that nothing can ever separate us from God's love, neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither our fears for today nor our worries about tomorrow. Not even the powers of hell can separate us from God's love. No power in the sky above or in the earth below, indeed nothing in all of creation, will ever be able to separate us from the love of God that is revealed in Christ Jesus, our Lord."
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, time 6:21. There's still plenty of time to grab your chance to win our biggest ever cash prize so far, an incredible £54,321. And here's all the details you need for a chance to make it all yours.
This is your chance to enjoy luxury this summer. It's our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. What would you do with that? With all of that cash, you could just chill out, treat yourself and indulge in the finer things in life, somewhere like here, Downhall Hotel and Spa. You really could win the cash giveaway of the summer. Go on, treat yourself.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Time to go through the latest sports now with Aidan. Aidan, good morning to you.
Good morning to you both. Good to see you.
Good morning. The Open taking place right now, right? Or about to start?
Yeah, I make it, what time we're now? 23 past 12 minutes from now. Porrick Harrington is one of the ones in the first group to tee off. £2.3 million to the winner if they can do it on Sunday evening. Moving day is known as that's the day we give to Sasso. That's when we really find out who's going to be in the running coming into Sunday. And a hugely prestigious event, not just in the golfing calendar, but also the sporting calendar. The home tournament for Rory McIlroy, of course, and not done much since the Masters by his own admission. And the question has to be, I suppose, has he lost his hunger?
Well, he was given a bit of a hero's welcome, wasn't he, when he returned to
Well, he was,
Northern
yeah, that's to be expected because he's got the green jacket from the Masters. He's still dining out on that one. Rightly so, he completed the Grand Slam, but there's still much more at his age to try and achieve. And, yeah, as I say, it's his home event. There's pressure on him for that reason, I would imagine. But he said afterwards, when he's kind of flunked at the PGA, he kind of said afterwards, look, I put everything into winning the Slam and winning the Masters, the one I hadn't done. In fact, it was just a wait for a major. He hadn't won a major of any description in 11 years. So he put everything into that. And once that's kind of been lifted off you, you've been unburdened of that, then I imagine you just feel, I'm going to take a break for a little while, just mentally. And so he said in one of the tournaments recently, he said, I didn't even want to be there. He's finished second at the Scottish Open last week. So, look, if you're going to get things back on track, and I think he will, I don't think he's ready to turn his back on the sport or anything drastic like that. But I do think that now, if he's going to do it, it's a perfect time to give it a go. If you look at his rival, Scotty Scheffler, who was giving an interview yesterday in the last couple of days saying that he doesn't find golf fulfilling. He's the world number one. He's been at the He's been at the summit for well over 100 weeks. He was saying it doesn't give him being at number one. You think, well, what next? But that to me suggests that he doesn't feel pressure of winning these tournaments. And that's probably why he's so cool when it comes to getting down to business.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Go on.
I was going to say, it's interesting when sportsmen come out with this. I remember Mikel Antonio, the West Ham player, saying about how he'd fallen out of love with playing football. Yes. It was something he'd done since he was a kid. Obviously, he got to the top. I know it's West Ham, but he'd fallen out of love with the whole thing. It's interesting when they make these comments.
Andy Murray did a similar thing in 2013. He was on the Jonathan Ross show and said, look, you know, the pressure of becoming the first British Wimbledon men's singles champion in so many years, decades and decades, was just so large, so intense that when he finally did it, there was a period of blowing out. He did actually come back 3 years later and win Wimbledon. He accomplished many other things in his career, including the Davis Cup. But I can kind of get on board with that. I can understand where they're coming from when I say that. People don't realise that, Cameron, just how high the standard is in these elite sports, that you can be the best player in your district growing up and you still won't even get a career. That's how high the standard is.
Well, it is that pressure, and if you get to the top of your game, the aftermath of that and trying to maintain that level with the public expectation that comes with it.
And everyone else who wants to be where you are.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's always a new generation of players coming through. I mean, we're looking at Luke Littler. I mean, anyone who knows darts will say, actually, there's 5 or 6 behind him who could usurp him in the next couple of years. He's got to deal with that as well. But I can kind of understand that. So that's why the real top ones, the Tiger Woods, who won, 15, 16 majors, Federer, 20 majors, 20 slams in tennis, Nadal, 22, Djokovic, 24. That's genuine consistency, and that's remotivating you, re-energising yourself and reinventing yourself every few weeks, literally.
The mental strength in all sport, isn't it? I mean, talking of football, Teddy Sheringham is having a go at Marcus Rashford.
Look, Teddy Sheringham is not a rent-a-gob. He's won 3 Premier League titles with Manchester United in consecutive years. He was part of the treble-winning side in '99. He won 51 caps for England. He had a stellar career, one of the greatest goal scorers we've seen in the Premier League era. For that reason, his words carry weight. Now, I'm not going to go through everything he said about Marcus Rashford because we'll be here all day, but this is what he said. This is Marcus Rashford, who was on loan at Villa last season, 2 goals in 10 games. He said, if you assess where Marcus Rashford is as a professional footballer, you strive as a youngster to get to the top and play for clubs like United. And when you're there, you appreciate it. You don't throw it away and say you want to leave. He's been angling for a move for Barcelona. That's the context here. From my perspective, if you go from United to Barcelona, that's a step up he hasn't deserved. And he said, I find the whole episode very soul-destroying compared to the way I was back in the day and how I strove to get the privilege to play for such a huge football club. A lot of United fans listening to that will think, you know what, he's earned the right to spout. The criticism is targeted, it's measured, he's probably got a point. And I would take, not umbrage necessarily, but I'd be very suspicious of a player who wanted to go to a club because of the destination and because of where it is. That tells me that the mentality is in the right place. If you're in football, you've got a short career, go where the trophies are, go where you can progress, and then the money will always be there.
But if Barcelona wanted Marcus Rashford, what's the problem?
I don't think they do.
They don't?
I don't think they do.
Then why are they paying so much money to transfer him?
Well, they're not. They're not right now. There's nothing in it. Rashford just wants to go.
Right.
He may end up there because they've missed out on other targets. But he's not their first choice, and I just don't think it's in the best interest of a player to say, I want to go there. It very rarely works.
It's not, no, of course.
Very rarely works.
Aidan, we'll be talking more football when you come back. So the Lioness is in action tonight, so that's in the next hour. Now, if you are travelling to work or school, here is the traffic and travel update. And don't forget to stay with us. We're on your radios, and there's no escape.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Road users in Scotland face closures on the A96 from Carney to Huntly due to overnight roadworks, with diversions expected. The A470 northbound is closed between Nantgarv and Upper Boat for maintenance with signed diversions. In Essex, the M11 southbound has a closed lane due to a vehicle fire, expected to clear by 11:45 this morning. Devon's M5 northbound exit slip at junction 30 has a closed lane due to a broken down vehicle, set to resolve before traffic peaks. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast and London North Western Railway are experiencing disruptions between London Euston and Watford Junction. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Welcome back, time 6:29, still to come. We'll be going through what's making the news with Freddie Gray and Scarlett Maguire.
Come on,
there they are.
Give us a wave, people. Thank you very... Oh, God, they're so excited, you can tell.
Very much awake at 6:29 in the morning. I'll be with you next.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back. Right now, joining us to see what's making the news today is Deputy Editor of The Spectator, Freddie Gray, and former Labour advisor, Scarlett Maguire. Thank you both for joining us.
Good morning.
Early on a Thursday morning. What a double whammy of you this morning, because there's loads to go through in the papers. Interesting selection of front pages, most of them agreeing on pretty much the main subject. So we'll start with it, shall we, Freddie? The Afghan story.
Well,
the
we're
never-ending.
day 3 of this rumbling scandal, and I think that noise you can hear is about 300 politicians desperately trying to cover their backs. Because it seems very clear that a lot of politicians knew this was a scandal. They knew about the super injunction. Obviously, nobody can talk about the super injunction. That's the nature of a super injunction. And now we have various people in the Conservative government before saying, yes, we tried to raise our concerns about it, but we were hushed up. And it does seem there was quite a lot of hushing up. The Telegraph calls it emotional blackmail, which is, of course, this idea that, you know, these Afghan translators, soldiers and so on were helping the UK, and therefore we have an emotional commitment to them. And it's interesting, this has been a theme of various films over the years. I don't know if you saw The Covenant.
I haven't seen it, no.
Ritchie's The Covenant, which is, the whole premise of it is noble Afghan interpreter helps the British Army and then is betrayed. But, of course, those people did deserve our help and our support. But this scandal's much bigger than that. And so I think, you know, Ben Wallace yesterday in The Telegraph was very much trying to use that line. He was Defence Secretary at the time. Was trying to use this line of, you know, we owed it to them, we owed it to them. we're good people, but that doesn't cover up the fact that this is a scandal that has cost the government masses, and it's not necessarily all for good reasons. In fact, it's for pretty bad ones.
And are all of these 6,000 odd people just over all translators? Did they all help the British soldiers? The fact is we don't know the answer to that question, Scarlett.
No, we absolutely don't. Is that it seems that anybody on this list who'd applied for refugee status once the list was out. And actually, it is absolutely true. Once the list is out, you can't trust the Taliban. I mean, you know, they are murderous, right? And I do think that the Daily Mail led a campaign against the government to get the interpreters over because at the beginning we weren't going to do anything. And actually, I mean, you know, I was in Afghanistan and in the British Embassy compound. I mean, all the Afghans who came in, they had to have their cars searched. They, you know, looking for bombs, everything. I mean, they risked their lives every day, and they knew it. And this was the cooks. This was everybody, not just the interpreters. It's not just the people who were with the soldiers. There were an awful lot. However, there is no question that on that list there were people who just saw a list and wanted their names on it.
I think if you sort of scratch this story enough, it really reminds you how bad the war on terror was and how disastrous it was in so many different ways. Steve Saylor, the academic, has this phrase, you know, invade the world, invite the world. And that is what was going on in the war on terror. We were meddling in other countries, and we were, as a result, bringing back lots of people who we can't really support or have in this country as a result. And, I mean, luckily, I think politics has moved on from that kind of thinking, but it took a long time to happen, and we caused a hell of a lot of damage in the world as a result.
I think what a lot of people, and certainly watching listeners this morning, are getting angry about, Scarlett, is the fact that it's our government, who we pay for, basically, covering up to stop us knowing what's going on.
Well, yes,
initially, I know the safety issue from the people that were genuinely working, but it's got bigger than that now.
Well, I mean, I think the reason the super injunction was lifted was because they decided that the Afghans were no longer at risk, and then the judge said, you know, no more. I mean, I do think we have to understand that when you have somebody at the Ministry of Defence who makes that terrible an error, that it is really, really dangerous, and you have to do something. And I completely understand why they did it and why they had the super injunction, because you had to have it that well done. And I mean, I can understand people going, but what about transparency? And you go, well, the minute there's transparency, all these people are at risk. And although some of it we might not mind about, you know, we are talking about interpreters. I mean, I'm with Freddie. I mean, can I say I opposed ever going into Afghanistan like I opposed going into Iraq? Because actually, we didn't know what we were doing.
No.
I mean, it was absolutely clear that we didn't know what we were doing. And the minute they said that there was mission creep, and they said, oh, you know, we'll start our own government. And you think, frankly, the United Nations, I think they're brilliant, can't run a country. I mean, you know, they tried running Kosovo.
We can't run a bath, if we're being honest.
And on the super injunctions, I mean, you know, we're supposed to have public interest defence. I understand super injunctions somehow overrule that, but they shouldn't.
No.
Journalists should be able to expose stories that are in the national interest, public interest, and shouldn't be hushed up by some ruling. It's just
and
it's not right.
The thing is with this, I mean, the papers, and fair play to the Daily Mail, have fought long and hard to get this exposed.
But it's extraordinary that they've had to fight so long and so hard.
Yeah, against our own government.
And then we have...
actually, to be really fair, it wasn't just the Mail. I mean, it was the Times, it was the BBC. I mean, basically all the papers said, you know, we have to be able to report it. And that's what's as always, everybody knows but the real people out there.
Exactly.
And it's just like, you know, we were discussing another super injunction that everybody knows, but you're not allowed to even
We're not allowed to talk about that.
No, we're certainly not allowed to talk about that one. But of course, we've got a number of former government ministers who've come out, Conservative ministers, in the last 24 hours or so, including the former Veterans Minister, Johnny Mercer, saying, I know who is covering their tracks. We've had Liz Truss weigh in. We've had Suella Braverman weigh in. So if they had such an issue with the super injunction when they were in government, why are they coming out now and being so opposed to it?
Trying to cover their backs, most of them, I'd have thought. Yeah. I'm sure some of them were, did raise concerns.
Yes, you just don't know which ones.
Yeah.
Which ones are only doing it now.
Yeah, well, this is the problem. I mean, who knew what when, and who even went for the super injunction in the first place? We still don't know.
Do we think Ben Wallace?
No, Ben Wallace has denied. He said, the super injunction came in two days after I left office, which was Grant Shapps.
And also, let's move on, because the front of the Mail is saying that, as well as the £850 million which the government is now spending on this scheme to resettle the Afghans, there could be further costs with the legal cases which are now going to come out of these interpreters claiming compensation from the British government, estimates of £1 billion of our money, taxpayers' money.
The lawyers always win, I think, is the upshot of that, whether it's through super injunctions or the lack of super injunctions. I think this is a scandal that will bubble on and on and on. It's interesting that it's come out now, ahead of the summer. I think sort of a few people involved in it were hoping that over the summer it will just sort of quietly go away. But it's going to rumble and rumble and rumble, and it feeds into this sense among the public that the government is willing to throw away billions, literally billions, just to cover its back on something legalistic and mechanistic like this. And I think it really disgusts people.
And Anita raises an interesting point here, a point many of you are raising. She goes, we don't know how many Taliban names are actually on that list as well. We don't know who these people are. I mean, let's face it.
Well, there was supposed to be some vetting, but, I mean, I think everybody involved says the vetting was not very coherent or good.
And there's lots of dependents coming across with these interpreters and others as well.
Yeah.
I think there was one case about 14 different...
They have a lot of relatives, to be fair.
Yes.
However, Scarlett's point, I think, is a valid one. It wasn't just translators, it was people that were helping the British in any way, shape or form. People were driving for them, people were cooking for them, people doing the basic jobs for them as well. All their lives are in danger. And in particular, in Afghanistan, the women.
Well, yeah. And, I mean, in Afghanistan at the moment, any woman's in danger.
Yeah,
I mean, you're practically in danger if they hear you speak. Yeah. I mean, literally, I am not exaggerating, is that they want to make sure that you can't hear women's voices talking. So the whole thing is just so horrible.
It's
and
horrific.
It's what Freddie said, it's about going into countries that we don't understand and just messing up and making promises to people.
Yeah.
And then just saying, oh, well, we're leaving.
She sounds a bit like the way they're running the country at the moment, Scarlett, to be honest with you. Making promises, not knowing what they're doing. We're going to take a quick break, but we are back with Scarlett and Freddie after this quick break and some travel weather, I think, yeah.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Lots of hot, strong sunshine around the Mediterranean at the moment. A few showers are possible in Sicily and inland over Turkey. We may just see one or two showers. Most of the coast here dry and sunny. Much of the Greek islands also dry, fine and sunny. One or two showers through the spine of Italy, but again, the coast's dry and fine. Northern parts of Spain may see a bit more cloud and a few showers. Quite a brisk wind blowing over the Canaries, but it's going to be hot in Tenerife. Temperatures just dipping a little bit here into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Welcome to the Bakerloo line, where over the last year, 2 years, every single carriage seems to have been just absolutely covered in graffiti. So we're out this morning to try and do what the Mayor, Sadiq Khan, seemingly can't. Let's clean up the tube. These doors used to be covered in graffiti, but no more. See, it's not impossible.
Not impossible it is, because there is so much that can actually be done. And just a few friends of mine, actually a guy called Joe Reeve, who organised this all, he's from the campaign group Looking for Growth. And he got in touch and said, do I want to come? And I was like, absolutely, I bloomin' do. Because I think we can show some pictures of some of our work, which was just on Sunday morning. And it was actually remarkably simple. What we did was we sprayed the graffiti with sort of anti-graffiti spray, eco-friendly anti-graffiti spray, actually, as it is.
I didn't know
and then
the thing.
a bit of scrubbing, and look, it just comes off. I mean, this stuff is not rocket science. A total lack of imagination, a total unwillingness to do anything about the sort of social decay that we're seeing in our cities and the country at the moment. A laziness, a profound laziness and lack of political will at the heart of the governance of London that means that people are just like, oh, the washing machine's broken, we'll just live with this social decay. Well, no, you don't have to live with the social decay. You can come up with new ways to do things. You can give some people some sponges, some water and some graffiti spray and get that stuff off. It's not impossible. Pull your socks up, Sadiq. Do something about it.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back. Time 6:46. Let's take a look at the newspaper front pages. The Telegraph leads with the leak of thousands of Afghans' data as it's reported the Home Office tried to stop the victims of the breach being granted asylum status here in Britain.
Meanwhile, The Guardian leads on the news that 4 Labour MPs have lost the whip as the Prime Minister attempts to reassert his grip on the party.
The Daily Express leads with Prevent, saying the murders of Sir David Amos and the 3 girls in the Southport attack could have been stopped.
The Metro reports that the family of sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell have begun a new bid to free her, with President Trump claiming his officials botched the investigation.
Well, joining us now to continue going through the papers is Deputy Editor of The Spectator, Freddie Gray, and former Labour advisor Scarlett Maguire. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Scarlett, I mean, talk about the Prime Minister reacting to his authority being undermined, suspending 4 Labour MPs.
I think he's learnt the wrong lesson. I think this is a terrible, terrible shame. I mean, there were 2 things behind the rebellion about the welfare bill. One was that it was a botched job. Frankly, it began when they were in opposition. Jonathan Ashworth should have said, this is terrible. As soon as we get into power, we're going to do a review, and there should have been a proper looking at, because welfare does have to be reformed, but it shouldn't be about the money. It should be about how to do it properly, which will save a lot of money. So that was botched, so that they minded. But the other thing is that within the Parliamentary Labour Party, people feel they're not being listened to, that nobody pays any attention, that actually they go back to their constituents and their constituents say, we hate this, and nobody's listening. And what does he do? Instead of saying, I'm going to really listen, I'm going to talk to you, we need to act as one party, we're a broad church. They suspend 4 MPs. I think it's a terrible mistake.
Freddie, what do you make of this coming from the Labour Party, which is meant to be sort of like all-encompassing, lots of views?
Yeah.
I mean, to have the whip suspended, but just in case you're not aware, means you're pretty much putting on gardening leave, aren't you? So if there was an election tomorrow, these MPs could not stand.
I think it's glorious, the whole thing.
I didn't say that.
Because Labour spent about a year, most of last year, saying, on difficult issues like welfare, we're going to have a conversation, and we're having a conversation. And every time they say conversation, it means they're stabbing each other in the back, fighting like crazy.
Yeah, it's a very polarised conversation.
Well, at least now it's a bit more out in the open how much they all hate each other. And I think that's a good thing for the country. What's also amusing is that I think really a lot of people in government just want to have a holiday. They've had a terrible year. They're just wanting to get to that the summer break, and they want to come back in September and have this reshuffle and possibly get rid of some of the front bench. But they're just staggering to get there. And every day there's a new story about the infighting and the hatred and so on. I mean, Scarlett, you're the Labour person. It's terrible, isn't it, for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, as we say, Labour is a broad church. It's always, I mean, just like the Tory party, which sort of has lost its left wing because Boris really did get rid of them. But actually, I mean, Labour is a broad church. And we need to have it like that. And that's what Jeremy Corbyn broke the whip something like 400 times before he became leader, right? He voted against Labour Party policy. Not once was he suspended. You know, you just say, that's Jeremy, right? That's how we have people like Jeremy Corbyn and Diane Abbott and John McDonnell in the party. And that's what makes it a rich party. I completely oppose what they've done, but because also what they're not looking. I mean, it's nice for Freddie to find it all funny, but actually they're not looking at the real problem in the Parliamentary Labour Party, which is that it needs to unite around something rather than be divided.
Well, how much of a danger is there that these 4 MPs could be persuaded, speaking of Jeremy Corbyn, Scarlett, to join this so-called new party with Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn? We know, of course, that you look at the latest polling, if a party was set up by those two individuals, it is going to split the Labour votes.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what it says. We'll see what happens. Very interestingly, neither Diane Abbott nor John McDonnell will join the new party. I don't see how you can have a serious left-wing party if you haven't got those two. I don't think these 4 will do anything. I mean, they're not on gardening leave. I mean, actually, they'll go on doing all their constituency work. They'll go on speaking in the House of Commons. They just won't have the Labour whip. But as Freddie says, everybody wants the summer to come so that they can have a break.
I think you're right. I mean, I think, political gravity is creating this new party, even if this new party isn't really ready to be created.
It wasn't even ready by the people that created it, according to Jeremy Corbyn.
Jeremy Corbyn didn't even seem to know it was happening.
Absolutely.
But I mean, it does seem inevitable that you'll have a kind of a left-wing reform-type phenomena. And whether the party can hold its discipline together, I don't know. It doesn't look like it can.
So is this the beginning of the end of a two-party system, Conservative and Labour?
Well, look, I mean, I've been around long enough that I've watched people say that the Labour Party is over. I remember that conversation going when Jeremy Corbyn was there. People have said it's the death of the Conservative Party. They always bounce back. I mean, back in the 80s, we had the Social Democrat Party. They looked really, really strong. They looked as though they were going to do over Labour. I mean, actually, they joined the Lib Dems and they're just part of the centre now. I think that one should never underestimate the two big parties and how they are phoenixes. They rise from ashes. They reconform. But both of them are in trouble at the moment, and both of them need to do a lot of work.
It's enough to drive us all to drink, Scarlett. We're staying with your story, and this is The Sun, page 7. Liam Gallagher, driven to drink, but what is he drinking?
I know. What he's drinking almost anything, actually, being Liam Gallagher. Cider vinegar. I mean,
wait.
Why? Because
not to prevent gout, which is what people usually drink cider vinegar for.
Really? I didn't know that, Freddie.
Apparently, it's for his voice.
Yes,
it's keeping his voice healthy.
To be fair, it's cider vinegar tea rather than just glugging it from the bottle. And obviously, I've never seen cider vinegar tea.
Is that just boiling water with some cider vinegar put in it? Is that what it is?
Yes, it probably is, actually, and then you gargle. I mean, I have absolutely no idea whether it works, but Liam Gallagher knows a lot more about voice. And
you can go and put the kettle on and give it a try for next time round, because you're back next time, but now we have to go to the weather. Here's Alex with your details.
warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A bit more cloud for most places today compared to yesterday. Still pretty warm and humid across the southeast, and later on some thunderstorms possible in Northern Ireland. We've seen a little bit of rain in Northern Ireland through the night. That's now pushing into southwest Scotland. A bit dull and damp to start the day over northwest England, parts of Wales and the Midlands. Much of eastern England, northern Scotland staying dry and bright, but increasing amounts of cloud pushing in here. And then later on, say the potential for some big showers and thunderstorms across Northern Ireland. Much of East Anglia, the southeast, stays dry, warm and humid here, 27, 28. Elsewhere, we're into the low 20s generally. Should hang on to some fine weather over northern Scotland for most of the day. Sunny spells likely here, but cloud and some outbreaks of rain in western parts of Scotland on and off through the day. Not much, I don't think, getting to Edinburgh. But in Northern Ireland, we do have to watch out for some heavy thundery showers, particularly over the west, developing through the afternoon, lasting into the evening, dropping a lot of rain in a short space of time. It could cause some disruption. Bit of showery rain heading across the Midlands at times, probably brightening up in Wales and southwest England after quite a lot of cloud this morning, but then further cloud pushing in overnight. The heavy downpours should clear from Northern Ireland through the evening. We'll keep some outbreaks of rain going across Scotland, especially in the north and the west. 1 or 2 heavy showers possible elsewhere, but much of the Midlands, eastern England staying dry overnight, perhaps turning a bit misty, especially around some coast as temperatures hold up at 15, 16 degrees Celsius. Friday, we keep the fairly mixed picture with, again, the highest temperatures across the southeast, 30 degrees is possible. Quite cloudy across many central areas to begin with. That cloud should tend to break up, providing 1 or 2 showers here and there. But again, late in the day, the possibility of some heavy showers developing for Northern Ireland, maybe western Scotland as well. Low 20s here, but as I said, maybe 30 tomorrow in the southeast.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M74 southbound at Junction 18 has restrictions due to a road incident. On the M4 eastbound between Junction 40 Tyback and Junction 39 Groves, an accident has caused lane closures. The M42 northbound at Junction 3A in Warwickshire is disrupted after a collision, with delays expected to clear by 9:20 this morning. On Essex's M11 southbound, a vehicle fire between Junction 10 and 8 has closed one lane. And on the trains, disruption is reported between London Euston and Watford Junction from Avanti West Coast and London North Western Railway. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good morning. The Afghan data disaster raises concerns of eye-watering compensation payouts.
Rumours the taxpayer could foot the bill for up to £1 billion in damages.
As questions are raised about who in government knew what and why it was hidden in plain sight.
The Prime Minister suspends 4 Labour MPs after a series of rebellions, but could they jump ship and join a new Jeremy Corbyn-led far-left coalition?
Meanwhile, Sir Keir gets on with business as he prepares to meet the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz in hopes of signing a shared defence deal.
Pakistani airlines are allowed into Britain for the first time in 5 years, but just why has the government chosen now to lift the ban? We'll get the very latest details with Charlie Peters.
And BBC backlash. The broadcaster's head of news claims Hamas's government is different to its military wing amid an ongoing BBC documentary row.
It's our fire!
Prince Harry is in his element as he meets school children in Angola before visiting the very landmine Princess Diana famously walked through.
And happy birthday, Queen Camilla. Her Majesty releases a new portrait to mark her 78th birthday today.
And never mind the cost of flights, getting to the airport might set you back a few bob. The price of drop-offs at Britain's busiest airports is revealed, and you'll never guess which airport charges the most.
And after a wife made headlines thanking her husband for staying at home so she could carry on her career, we're debating if it's emasculating or empowering to be a proud stay-at-home dad.
The 153rd Open Championship is just about underway at Royal Portrush. We'll have more on that throughout the morning. In boxing, though, Alexander Usyk is in London ahead of his Wembley showdown with Daniel Dubois, with Tyson Fury eyeing a third shot at the Ukrainian.
Morning. A real mishmash of meteorology today. Some warmth and humidity across the southeast. Generally a lot more cloud compared to yesterday, and the potential for some thunderstorms across Northern Ireland later on. Join me later for all the details.
It's just gone at 7 o'clock. I'm Dawn Neeson.
And I'm Cameron Walker, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Good morning. Thank you so much for your company on this Thursday morning at nearly weekend. Congratulations, you've made it. Now, we are going to be talking later on this hour about stay-at-home. Well, not just dads, but men who stay at home while the wife goes out to work. I mean, in 2025, I can't believe this is a debate.
Is this a gender role reversal?
Well, I mean, or is it just the fact that we're all got busy lives and someone needs to do the housework? Does it really matter who does it?
Yeah, I suppose if you're...
Cameron?
Me?
How much do you do?
Well, it depends who you ask. So I have been known to be nagged to do housework before, but I think when you move out and you have your own flat, you do feel a sense of pride in its appearance. So perhaps you do a little bit more housework and dusting and all the rest of it, but it is, I would avoid it at all costs if I possibly could.
Aidan McGee, you're very sporty and alpha male and masculine. What do you like with a feather duster?
Not fantastic, but my cleaner recently departed after 4 years of a great relationship. I'm feeling a bit heavier in my bank account, actually, as a result, because she wasn't cheap. But my parents was a different situation altogether. As I mentioned before, my parents had care homes. And so they were in each other's pockets almost 24 hours a day. They didn't really get a break from each other. But then I had a friend of mine who, his parents envied that relationship because they said his dad was a civil engineer over in Bristol by day. We lived in Kent, and mum was a housewife, a midwife, I should say. And they had 1 hour between 5 and 6 every day where they did the washing up together. And that was the only time they had together. So it's the complete opposite of what my parents had. But the job still got done. The housework, they still had food on the table. So there's more than one way to to get the job done.
That's quite romantic. Well, my husband's now retired, and I'm happy to say that he does pretty much everything at home, and he's really good at it as well.
Is he?
He's always been a better cook than me, and so, yeah, I don't know where the kitchen is, but he's brilliant at it.
So you don't have to nag him to do the
No,
housework?
not at all, no.
Oh,
I mean,
great.
he has to nag me to do stuff. I mean, he doesn't feel emasculated, I don't think. It's 2020. What do you think? I mean, gbnews.com/you'll say. I mean, would you, ladies, do you have less respect for your man if he's making the beds and doing the washing and, you know, maybe looking after the kids? What do you think?
Yeah, and I quite like cooking as well. And, of course,
Yes,
same-sex couples, there's going to be 2 men or 2 women in a household. Of course, who does the washing up
But
then?
cooking is acceptable now for men, isn't it? I mean, cooking over the last, I would say, 20 years has been sort of like almost like an alpha male career path.
Yeah.
So it's fine to be good in the kitchen. It's when you're cleaning the toilets, really, that it gets down to the nitty-gritty.
You've tried some of my soup, haven't you, at Christmas time?
I have. I've been so lucky to try your soup. It's very good,
I
Aidan.
never barely went near a stove until probably about 2-3 years ago.
That's
So I think
okay.
Dawn's point.
No, I haven't had your soup.
Gosh. Well, next time.
Yeah, exactly. I shall wait with bated breath. OK, let's move on to our top stories. The main story this hour is there's concerns compensation claims over the breach of thousands of Afghans' data could be as high as £1 billion.
Lawyers working on the case have allegedly already signed up thousands of those impacted.
These include Afghans who have, as a result of the leak, been granted asylum status here in the United Kingdom.
And that's as politicians who were in the Conservative cabinet at the time the leak was discovered distanced themselves from the scandal.
With us in the studio now is political commentator Piers Pottinger. Piers, good to see you again. Lots of people getting very angry about what's happening here, and lots of people also concerned about, yes, of course we need to look after the people that worked for the British government and the British Armed Forces in Afghanistan. Their lives are in danger, but we don't know who half of these people are on these lists.
No, I mean, of course, we should behave honourably towards anyone who helps us fighting in wartime. But this is a mess. I mean, there's no two ways about it. On everywhere you look at it, it raises a question here, a question there. There are so many people involved in this at different times, at different levels, none of whom seem to have done actually the right thing. It's a mess. It's probably going to be in the billions. These lawyers, of course, horrible ambulance chasers, jumping on the bandwagon, rubbing their hands with glee. There's a big law firm called Barings, who I always thought were a failed bank. But these lawyers talking about huge 5,000 clients and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's sickening that they're using this as an opportunity to rob the taxpayer.
Obviously, Barings aren't here to defend themselves about what cases they're taking on.
But I mean, this element of it is the least, actually, of concern. It's what led up to it that needs looking at and will be looked at. There are going to be at least 2 inquiries. And there'll probably be more. It'll go on for a long time. It's going to cost hundreds of millions. I can see this just growing and growing over the summer as more revelations occur. Now these injunctions are off. It's going to be one of the worst, expensive data leaks of all time. And again, the question is, will people in positions of authority and who were responsible for this actually be held to account and behave honourably? I mean, the obvious question is about General Jenkins, who is now the First Sea Lord. He was in charge of the man, the unfortunate Royal Marine, who leaked this in the first place. Why isn't he taking responsibility? He is avoiding responsibility in a rather unpleasant way, and I suspect his days are numbered.
He's been very quiet, hasn't he? We haven't heard a word from him. So.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Ministry of Defence has vowed to fight hard any claims that come through. But, of course, that's going to cost us as taxpayers as well. Because the MOD is going to have to pay lawyers to defend their case.
Yeah, I mean, the MOD saying that. I mean, again, what confidence do we have in the MOD at the moment? Not much. I mean, don't forget, this leak wasn't the first Afghan data leak. No. There was one before that, which was pretty damaging. But this was another one. You'd think they'd be careful. And also, I mean, how was it going right to the nub of it at the start, how was it that a list of this nature was so easily accessible and transferable by a relatively junior person who wasn't even in the central MOD office? It was in a separate building.
We're putting some of the figures, some of the numbers involved in this up on your screens now. I mean, they really are head-turning numbers. There's lots of zeros involved in all of them.
And they keep changing.
But they keep changing. We don't even know if they're accurate. I mean, how many people are involved?
No,
well, I mean,
we had 26,000 initially, then it's 18,000. Apparently there are about 6,000 here now. I mean, but the point is that they're not really sure how many of the people we've actually taken are legitimate asylum seekers, because the vetting process is questionable as to how thorough it was.
This is what a lot.
And given our border forces vetting procedures seem to be extremely well, questionable as they stand, when you have this additional pressure of these huge thousands of extra numbers, how do we know that they did this properly? And how do we have any confidence? I mean, for the British people to have confidence in our civil service and our politicians and ministers of state, I'm sorry, this is one of the biggest shocks to the system I think I've known. I cannot put in words how catastrophic this is.
And but finally, Piers, we're out of time. Just one fact jumps out at me all the time. Afghans are more than 20 times more likely to account for sexual offence convictions than British citizens. That's a Freedom of Information request there. So as a woman...
I mean, that's absolutely disgraceful, isn't it? And it's appalling.
And obviously we need to look after those that served our forces, and we do need to look after them. But we don't know who half of these people on this list are.
This is a colossal mess.
Indeed. Piers, thank you very much. Piers Pottinger. Hey.
Now, the Duke of Sussex has visited Angola in support of landmine clearance.
Prince Harry followed in the footsteps of Princess Diana, who walked through the same minefield back in 1997.
It's all fire!
And in other royal news...
Yeah, today marks Queen Camilla's birthday as Her Majesty turns 78.
Yeah, a new photograph of the Queen at her private Wiltshire home has been released, taken by Chris Jackson to mark the occasion. And we're joined now by the royal correspondent, Richard Palmer. Richard, good morning to you. Let's start off with Prince Harry, if we may. Of course, following in his mother's footsteps, Prince Harry, of course, over the last few years has had a lot of criticism for various things he has told the press. But this is almost like having the old Harry back, isn't it? Doing charity work as patron of the Halo Trust, following in his mother's footsteps.
It is. And, you know, one thing I was really interested in, Cameron, was that the British Embassy held a reception for him. And I don't recall that happening on his previous royal visits since he's quit official royal duties. And I couldn't really get to the bottom of it last night, but I wonder whether that shows there's a slight thawing between the British state and the Duke of Sussex. And I guess it could be the fact that he's there representing a British charity that has been doing important work in partnership with the Angolan government. But still interesting, I thought. And you're right, that's what I thought. This was very much like an old-fashioned royal visit by Harry, with one key exception, of course. The Royal Press Pack weren't invited. There is a new spirit of engagement in his camp now. I mean, he's got a new PR team, and they're trying to engage with parts of the media that they really haven't wanted to speak to, or he hasn't wanted to speak to for a long time. But clearly, it's not quite extending to inviting us all out there to cover him.
Maybe one day, Richard, maybe one day. And I think it is very interesting, actually, the point you made, because that also jumped out at me, the fact that Prince Harry had been invited to the British Embassy in Angola to speak to business leaders. It's almost like an old-fashioned royal tour. But the question I also couldn't get to the bottom of, and I think this is the key point, Dawn, is that who sanctioned it? Was it the ambassador of Angola who invited Prince Harry? Was the Foreign Office involved, and by extension the British government, and by extension, perhaps, His Majesty the King?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I think there's some really interesting things happening now behind the scenes. Early days still yet, but it does seem as if there is a willingness for both officers to start speaking again, and maybe there's a proper family reconciliation on the way.
Richard, I mean, obviously, I expect, like Cameron was saying, I think there is going to be a reconciliation between Harry and the King, because obviously the King has been very poorly, so it makes sense for that to happen. But the fly in this ointment, and the one that is not involved in that meeting at the weekend, is his brother William.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I think it looks much more difficult there. I think the rift is much deeper. But even there, I've spoken to friends of William in the past, where I remember one saying to me, "Time's a great healer." Who knows? I think it's going to be a lot easier for the King to see him than for William to see him. And there are still many obstacles. He's still very concerned about the security situation, so he doesn't want to bring his family over. My personal view is that I think there might be a way to facilitate maybe a visit to Balmoral for the Sussex family, where they're behind a police cordon. There must be some compromise that they can come to, but this summer might be too early for that.
And of course, you mentioned that his staff appear to be having a change of tact in terms of engagement with the media, and I would argue, by extension, the British people, allowing people a bit more access, more information, and all the rest of it. But do you notice also a change in tack from Harry himself? He appears to be focusing perhaps more on philanthropy, his charity work, rather than, doing an interview like he did a couple of months ago with the BBC about his security situation, and again opening up the idea of more royal secrets. Do you think there is a change of tack from Prince Harry here?
Yeah, it looks that way. As you were saying, really, it's back to the old Harry. And that can only be a good thing, I think, for him, because I think he does need to get the British people back on side, and he's got a lot of work to do on that front. So it'll be interesting to see if there are more of these trips coming up in the near future.
Richard, Sorry, Richard, this is obviously not a royal tour. This is Harry acting independently, although, as you both pointed out, we don't know how it's happened and who invited who. But it is notable that Meghan isn't with him. Recently, they have been joined at the hip. Meghan, as we know, is a very divisive character. How much of a problem do you think Meghan could be in a warming or a thawing of the relationship between the King and Harry?
I think there are certainly people in the family who, still have a problem with trust, and I think Meghan coming into the family was the catalyst for a huge number of problems between them all. And yes, I think she's doesn't seem to want to come over to the UK. The problem for the King is that he's not seeing his grandchildren. That must be so heartbreaking for him. I think his mother was very good at keeping Fergie on board, for example. And, I think the King will have to try to get Meghan back on board so that they can operate as a family. But I agree, a bigger problem than Harry, I think, on that front.
Yes, of course, Meghan is focusing very much on her, as ever, business in the United States. But of course, it's also today Queen Camilla's 78th birthday, Richard, and we've got this lovely portrait of her taken in Wiltshire. Do we know anything about what she's going to be up to today?
I think spending it privately, if I remember rightly. I was going to say about Queen Camilla, going back to Harry, it's always very evocative when he retraces Diana's footsteps, and it's clear from certainly social media, I think, that there's still a lot of feeling about Diana. There's still a lot of support for the memory of Diana there, and so I think that's still. Queen Camilla, I would say, is perhaps the most popular member of the royal family with the British Press Pack. She's been on a charm offensive for years, and she's.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I like her enormously, but the opinion polls suggest that she's still. She's more popular than Harry and Meghan and Prince Andrew, but not many other members of the royal family. Yes, still popular than most politicians, but people are still warming to her, I think, and Diana's memory still lives long for many people, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that just briefly, Richard. Do you think she will ever escape the shadow of Diana?
I don't think completely, no. I think I think many people in this country have come to accept her and accept the fact that he's a better king and was a better Prince of Wales because she was there to support him. And I think people get that, but I was speaking to a group of people yesterday, and there were still people talking about the conspiracy theories about what happened to her, and I think I think it's going to be very difficult for her to completely shed that controversy.
OK, royal correspondent Richard Palmer, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I mean, it is interesting, the Camilla point. I think if you look at the opinion polls, younger people who perhaps didn't have a conscious memory of Princess Diana when she was alive have a more favourable opinion of Queen Camilla because they don't really know who Diana was, essentially, and the whole controversy around that marriage breakdown. But I do get Richard's point, though. When I'm on an engagement, because I'm usually a royal correspondent, Dawn, with Queen Camilla, she always smiles and waves and says hello. She acknowledges your presence.
I was very lucky enough to have met Diana, interviewed her a couple of times when the boys were very, very little. And you know, and obviously it was horrible covering all that stuff that happened at the time, but I actually think Camilla's doing an amazing job. At the very least, she's doing an amazing job of supporting the man she loves. Can't really ask much more than that, especially considering what he's going through at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. She is certainly his rock. Just very quickly, before we get to the giveaway, I just want to say we've had Jay get in touch, and she says, please can you give a shout-out and congratulate Brenda and her husband celebrating their 54th wedding anniversary today. 54 years. Congratulations to Brenda and her husband. Thank you so much for getting in touch.
Congratulations. That's amazing. Great train robbers, etc., etc. Enjoy your day, though. And you could enter this, actually, make your wedding anniversary even better, because there's still a chance to grab our biggest cash prize today. It's an incredible £54,321. And just for you, Brenda, here's how you can win it.
We're here at Down Hall in Essex to enjoy the finer things in life. And it's your chance to win £54,321 in cash. It's like having an extra £1,000 in your bank account each week for a whole year, which means that you'd be able to indulge in treats whenever you wanted to. That extra cash each week could send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing this year to enable you to sit back, relax and do nothing. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Time 7:26. You're watching and listening to GB News Breakfast with Cameron and Dawn. Lots of you have been getting in touch about the Afghanistan issue.
Well, and actually, lots of you are very angry. We don't know who these people are. But more importantly, seeing as I've got a brilliant royal correspondent on with me today, lots of people getting in touch about the royals. Not impressed by Harry, who is in Angola doing what his mum did 27 years ago.
Yeah.
In the minefield. This Maggie says this is yet another PR stunt by Harry, trying to gain empathy on the back of his mother's memory. He could have travelled there without the film crew. What do you say to that?
Perhaps. Well, it was the Halo Trust that was filming it. I mean, from Harry's perspective and the Halo Trust, they are getting more coverage because Prince Harry is doing it, and therefore that could potentially lead to more donations, etc., etc., etc. Many cynics would probably say Prince Harry is just copying what his mother did. Of course, he did go to Angola in 2019, but he is shining a light on the very real issue of children literally being blown up by landmines. So, you know,
Peter, meanwhile, sums it up by saying, every day Harry helps the UK Republican movement.
Also, it's questionable, why is he doing it the day before Queen Camilla's birthday? And knocks Camilla off the front page.
There's not a lot of love lost between him and his stepmom, is there?
No, I think he describes her in his book Spare as the wicked stepmother.
Yeah.
Which didn't go down too well.
I'm probably Team Camilla on that one, to be honest with you. But I'm a woman of a certain age. And talking of women of certain ages and the relationship, how would you like to be a stay-at-home husband? Well, more and more men are holding down the fort while their partners or wives are the breadwinners.
Although one poll suggests females are still taking on the more stereotypically feminine roles, there are signs the gender gap is shrinking.
So this morning we're asking whether it's emasculating for men to stay at home.
Joining us now is the writer and podcaster Lewis Oakley and journalist Linda Daubney. Good morning to both of you. Lewis, let's start with you. Is this a good thing or a bad thing that men are taking on more, let's say, traditional motherly feminine roles?
I think it's great, and I don't think they're feminine at all. And I think it shows that men are being more secure, and they're not worried about stereotypes, and they're actually putting their family first. And I actually was in a situation at the end of last year where my other half had to go and look after someone in hospital, and I was alone with the kids for 3 weeks. So I had 3 weeks not working, and actually, I really think I flourished, and I think I was actually really good at it, and actually was outperforming a lot of people, where it was like, you know, we're not just going home after school, kids, we're going to go swimming, and we're going to go and do this, and then we're going to do some baking, and actually being able to bring my business mindset to, right, I'm going to make these children efficient. I think it was really good. And to be honest, I think there's a flip side of this, because there's a lot of pressure on men, I think, still in 2025 to be the breadwinners, but actually the economics have all changed now. I mean, you guys know I have a full-time job, then I'll come and chat with you guys and do the paper reviews. I'm writing books, podcasts, all these things. And actually what I've learned is the government will just tax all that money off you anyway. So we've disincentivized people being ambitious in this country. So you may as well save your effort and put it into your kids.
OK, Linda, what do you make to that?
I think he's raised a really interesting point there, because he talks about almost like having a business mindset. And Sarah Rainey, who wrote the original piece here, talks about her husband who's a director of a startup company, his own small business. And I suspect the reason why he likes housework is because he adopts a business mindset when he comes to raising kids and taking care of the house. In fact, if you read the whole article, it's really clear that he's very, very organised, even to the point that he does the food delivery 6 weeks in advance, which, believe me, I would find staggering. I can barely scramble down to Tesco's, you know, or Marks and Spencer's, or wherever I want to go at the final minute. But I'm fully behind anyone who has a husband, who wants to support them in this way. Unfortunately, I mean, dare I say it, I did not. He had many good points. We're now divorced, but we are very, very good friends. Very good friends indeed. But he was a Australian unreconstructed male who I think regarded child raising as a part-time hobby.
OK, Lewis, I mean, you know, as a woman of a certain age, there is something slightly sexier about a man who's doing something very masculine, like building a fence, or, I don't know, doing something very, very alpha male about the home, rather than doing the ironing.
Well, in the article, if you read it, this woman is saying she thinks her man looks really sexy in a penny. So I think it depends on your taste. And as a couple, what you've decided, yes, there are going to be some women that are going to say, I find it unsexy if my man doesn't earn more than me, or if he's not got, you know, power tools or whatever it is. But some women are not going to be bothered by it. And if you're a woman that says, you know what, really my heart lies in the corporate world and being in that world, and he says, you know what, I really want to raise these kids, then I think that that's great. And also, I will say this as well, you know, it's not 1920s anymore. The housework isn't actually that difficult to do. It almost does itself now. I'm not hand washing clothes. The dishes wash themselves if I put them in. We've got AI hoovers now that do the cleaning for you. The air fryer does all the cooking. Like, it's not as hard as it used to be.
And Linda, just a final word to you. What do you think the impact would be, if any, indeed, on the children? Do they really care who does the housework or cleaning in the household?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I avoid all housework if at all possible, and I have done for the entirety of my adult life. I've got 3 adult children, and they're very forward-thinking. They split the housework between themselves and their partners. I've got 1 girl, 2 boys. They regard it as an equal chore. They want to do it. They've become really kind, decent people. So I don't think it has any cost at all. And I think men, you know, historically have been avoiding their fair share of housework for long enough. It's time it was split equally, and I'm really pleased to see that that is exactly what is happening.
Brilliant. Thank you both very much. Run out of time. That's writer and podcaster Lewis Oakley and journalist Linda Dobley. Thank you very much for your time on that one. Well, what do you think at home? gbnews.com/your say. Is a man in a penny sexy?
Maybe. Now it's time for the weather with Alex Deakin.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A bit more cloud for most places today compared to yesterday. Still pretty warm and humid across the southeast, and later on some thunderstorms possible in Northern Ireland. We've seen a little bit of rain in Northern Ireland through the night. That's now pushing into southwest Scotland, a bit dull and damp to start the day over northwest England, parts of Wales and the Midlands. Much of eastern England, northern Scotland staying dry and bright, but increasing amounts of cloud pushing in here. And then later on, say the potential for some big showers and thunderstorms across Northern Ireland. Much of East Anglia, the southeast, stays dry, warm and humid here, 27, 28. Elsewhere, we're into the low 20s generally. Should hang on to some fine weather over northern Scotland for most of the day. Sunny spells likely here, but clouds and some outbreaks of rain in western parts of Scotland on and off through the day. Not much, I don't think, getting to Edinburgh. But in Northern Ireland, we do have to watch out for some heavy thundery showers, particularly over the west, developing through the afternoon, lasting into the evening, dropping a lot of rain in a short space of time. It could cause some disruption. Bit of showery rain heading across the Midlands at times, probably brightening up in Wales and southwest England after quite a lot of cloud this morning, but then further cloud pushing in overnight. The heavy downpours should clear from Northern Ireland through the evening. We'll keep some outbreaks of rain going across Scotland, especially in the north and the west. 1 or 2 heavy showers possible elsewhere, but much of the Midlands, eastern England staying dry overnight, perhaps turning a bit misty, especially around some coast as temperatures hold up at 15, 16 degrees Celsius. Friday, we keep the fairly mixed picture with, again, the highest temperatures across the southeast, 30 degrees is possible. Quite cloudy across many central areas to begin with. That cloud should tend to break up, providing 1 or 2 showers here and there. But again, late in the day, the possibility of some heavy showers developing for Northern Ireland, maybe western Scotland as well. Low 20s here, but as I said, maybe 30 tomorrow in the southeast.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
So to come, the Open is underway at Royal Portrush. Aidan will have all of that and more. That's next.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M74 southbound at junction 18 faces restrictions due to a road incident. Drivers should allow extra time. Roadworks on the A470 northbound from Nantgarv to Upper Boat have led to closures with diversions. In Warwickshire, a collision on the M42 northbound at junction 3A has 1 lane closed. Normal conditions are predicted soon. West Sussex faces a significant collision on the A27 eastbound between the A24 South and A2025, with all lanes closed. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast and London North Western Railway report disruptions. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand. Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the
unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Time to go through the sports now with Aidan McGee. Aidan, good morning to you. The Open begins.
Yeah, it's already underway. Podrick Harrington teed off first before anyone else at 6:35, I should say, and he came out with a birdie straight away, so that's a pretty good start. But as I say, a long way to go. The prize money for the winner, £2.3 million. We're expecting some change, but whether that will really affect how the various players will perform, because some of them perform well when it's inclement weather, some of them perform well when it's finer and drier. So we'll see how it kind of plays out. Interesting quotes over the last few days from some of the leading contenders. Rory McIlroy has been fairly tight-lipped, but I would say that he seems to have lost his hunger for golf in the last few months. He won the Masters. It seemed to be an unburdening experience for him, and I guess he just wanted to enjoy it. He worked so hard to get that Grand Slam. He waited 11 years to win a major of any description. He hadn't done it since 2014. But I think if he's going to announce his return to the top end of the sport, I think that now, at his home tournament, is the time to do it. A lot of pressure on him as well, though, because there'll be a very expectant crowd watching him this afternoon when he tees off at 3:10. But Scotty Scheffler was interesting because he said golf doesn't fulfil him. And he's somebody who's achieved a hell of a lot. And I wonder if that kind of, it's a mental thing for him. Maybe he just thinks, well, I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself because it's not the be-all and end-all. Maybe that helps him win trophies. And an interesting quote as well from last year's champion, Xander Schauffele, who hasn't shown any great form over the last 12 months or so. He's apologised if the claret jug smells of tequila because he celebrated so much last year that he said, I'm really sorry, you might get some fumes off it, but he'll be looking for a return to form as well.
Gosh, I wonder how much of a sore head he had the morning after that one.
Well, the claret jug is not that big.
Yeah, but tequila, that's very strong.
Yeah, it is. I've not had it since university days, I must admit. But I'd like to go onto the line.
Yes, let's do it.
We're up against Sweden tonight, and Serena Wiegmann has been talking just prior to the match. She spoke last night in Zurich, and here's what she had to say.
I expect a very competitive game. Where it's very hard to predict the outcome. And of course, they've had a very good group stage series, like the 3 wins they had. But I think we are in a very good place too, and we're ready to go. So hopefully we can show that tomorrow. We know they have some qualities. They're good in the air, and they want to give the crosses. They have some speed up front too. So we're going to try to prevent that. And of course, that it helps when we have the ball a little bit more than they have.
Now, we'll find out tonight just where England are at, because it was a poor start against France in Zurich, but they redeemed themselves against Holland. That looked like a great result, but then, of course, if you take away the first match Holland had against Wales, they then conceded 8 goals in 2 games. So you could argue that the first game was tough for England. They lost that one against France. The next 2 were a little bit easier, and they scored 10 goals in 2 matches. So tonight, against Sweden, who have an experienced midfield, and don't forget the midfield was a problem area in the first game. We've got really overrun. They've got pacey wingers, and they've got some outstanding players in other areas of the pitch as well. We'll find out exactly the level England are up to. So unfortunately, if it's a bad result, England will be out. So
go on, call it for us, Aidan.
Yeah,
sorry?
What's your
bet? Call it for us.
I think England will take it by 2 goals to 1.
Right.
OK, and what time's the match kick off?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock tonight.
This evening, but don't just the usual rules apply on my predictions. If I get it wrong, don't remind me. If I get it right, I'll be reminding you.
The only reason we ask you is so we can actually take the mickey out of you when you get it horribly wrong.
It happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yes, it does happen quite a bit, yeah.
This time tomorrow, we'll
find out.
Yeah, I certainly will. Aidan, thank you.
Thank you, Aidan. OK, still to come, we'll be going through what's making the news with Freddie Gray and Scarlett Maguire. There they are, looking braced and raring to go, kind of.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Lots of hot, strong sunshine around the Mediterranean at the moment. A few showers are possible in Sicily and inland over Turkey We may just see 1 or 2 showers. Most of the coast here dry and sunny. Much of the Greek islands also dry, fine and sunny. 1 or 2 showers through the spine of Italy, but again, the coast's dry and fine. Northern parts of Spain may see a bit more cloud and a few showers. Quite a brisk wind blowing over the Canaries, but it's going to be hot in Tenerife. Temperatures just dipping a little bit here into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Camilla Tominey. This is GB News, Britain's election channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
And Tom, look what I received this morning.
This is so sweet.
Oh! Isn't that cute? From one of our viewers and listeners. A little, I think it's homemade.
Shall I hold it up?
Yeah, you hold it up. And a little tiny matching hat as well, which is very cute. Goes up here. So there you go, a little matching hat.
And
also a lovely little blanket as well. Wow. This is from Judith from Leeds, who wrote me a lovely little letter, and to Patrick as well, wishing us well, saying that she loves watching our shows, and I hope we enjoy this little outfit. So there you go.
It's like your little baby is with us already.
So yes, Judith, I hope you're watching, because thank you very much indeed. It's really sweet of you to send that to me. It took a little while to get to us, but we've got it this morning, so that's so cute.
It's incredible craftsmanship, actually.
I'll make sure to take a little picture when the baby arrives.
Are you sure your baby isn't going to be French?
It's just something French around it. It's a good thing I like France, so there you go.
Oui, oui.
That's very cute indeed. I just thought I'd say thank you, because it was a really nice surprise this morning.
Yeah, no, it is actually really, really lovely. It does, I mean...
To bring a tear to your eye, Tom.
Well, we haven't really...
Feeling very emotional.
I was going to say...
New life.
We haven't really mentioned, your pregnancy in a little while. And
yeah, after the big reveal. After the big reveal.
You're still with us for a few months more before your due date.
I have to depart, yes.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you've got me for a little longer. We'll see how it goes.
Marvellous
See how
stuff.
it goes. It'll be rolling me in. Before I leave this desk.
It'll be a GB baby.
GB News baby. GB baby.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Time is 7:46. Let's take a look at some of the newspaper front pages.
Yep, the Telegraph leads with the leak of thousands of Afghans' data, as it's reported the Home Office tried to stop the victims of the breach being granted asylum status here in Britain.
The Guardian leads on the news that 4 Labour MPs have lost the whip as the Prime Minister attempts to reassert a grip on his party.
Meanwhile, the Daily Express leads with Prevent, saying the murders of Sir David Amis and those 3 little girls in Southport could have been stopped.
The Metro reports that the family of sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell has begun a new bid to free her, with President Trump claiming his officials botched the investigation.
Well, joining us now to go through what's making the news is Deputy Editor of The Spectator, Freddie Gray, and former Labour advisor, Scarlett Maguire. Thank you very much for joining us. Just quickly, we need to mention the news that's just broken is the unemployment figures are up by 0.1%. Freddie, does this actually mean much to us?
Well, it's not good, actually, because it was meant to go down, just like inflation was meant to go down, it's going up. All the indicators of the British economy are looking, well, not all, but most of them are looking pretty bad at the moment. As we go into this summer, it's thought that by September there could be another serious panic about the British economy. More bad news for Labour. They can't, Rachel Reeves was supposed to bring us Securonomics, How's that going?
Yeah, we're going for growth, but not necessarily in the unemployment figures, Scarlett.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be fair on Rachel, she has done the securonomics. We're just sort of going in the wrong way. I mean, anecdotally, it's terrible. I mean, anecdotally, you talk to people, young people trying to get their first jobs. It's incredibly difficult. You talk to people who are trying to move jobs. It's very difficult. I mean, it's been a tight market. But, I mean, I remember my daughter, after she left university, spent 4 years working in bars before she could get a proper, a job for which she actually needed a degree for. So, I mean, it's been a very tight job market for a very long time.
And meanwhile, even if you do have a job, in the last hour we've heard that the UK average regular earnings has decreased to 5% in the 3 months to May, 1.8% higher. After the consumer price index inflation has taken inflation into account, Scarlett. So people aren't earning as much.
No, and possibly the resident doctors need to understand that they're not the only people whose pay hasn't kept up with inflation. Almost everybody is in that boat.
Because, of course, they are threatening to strike.
They are. They're threatening to strike, and they want a 30% pay increase, having had 22% last year, being offered, like the rest of the public sector, 5%. I think they're completely wrong.
We're in a summer of stagflation now. I mean, inflation is it's the thief that is stealing everyone's wealth. It has been for 4 years, 5 years now, pretty bad. But it now seems to be just embedded in the British economy, and we can't do anything about it. So we're becoming a little bit like a third world economy.
It is amazing. We were talking about airports earlier on, and everything is, you have to paying to drop people off, paying to do this, paying to do that. Everything is it's so much more expensive now.
Dawn, this has been going on. This has been the airport scam, frankly. Has been going on for years, and it is absolutely. I mean, I remember trying to drop a friend of mine off at Heathrow, and actually, I didn't understand that just stopping £70.
Kiss and fly, yeah.
Kiss and fly. I mean, all I was doing, and also once you get into it, you can't get out. No. I mean, so I didn't know how. I mean, obviously, I should have dropped her off to the tube station. But, I mean, I just think it's... And this was years ago.
Yeah, but that's gone up 17% this week.
But also, you say, Scarlett, just drop them off at a tube station. Excuse me. But, of course, if you are disabled, if you have a massive suitcase or whatever, you don't want to take a train into Heathrow or another airport. So it's
I completely agree. And actually, places... So, Heathrow, for a lot of us, we have a choice. I mean, somewhere out of London, right, somewhere like Leeds, I mean, you either get a taxi there or somebody has to pay £25 to drop you off. I mean, it's terrible. I agree.
I just wish they wouldn't label it kiss and fly at the airport. I don't want to be told to kiss.
Kiss and fly, sometimes, yeah.
OK, the big story that I think lots of people will be annoyed about today is the Prevent, our organisation, Prevent scheme, is failing to prevent anything, basically.
Yes, it is. It's a name that makes it hostage to its own mission. Because, of course, every time there is a terrorist attack or someone who has been radicalised does something terrible, Prevent has failed to prevent. And there is a new report from Lord Anderson that shows the extent to which it has failed. And with the Southport killer, it failed. He was on their radar. With David Amos's killer, another failure. He was on their radar. And again and again and again. And the problem is, really, what security services says and what Prevent say is that there are so many people we probably need to keep an eye on, and we can't keep an eye on. We don't have the resources to. And, do we want to... can we have a state where we are monitoring a large... that number of people, thousands and thousands of people who we think are at risk?
90% of people who are referred to Prevent have nothing wrong, right? So they go straight off. So Prevent has to go through. And out of those 10%, I mean, who are sort of moaning and everything like that and look as though they're dangerous, not like these two. I mean, a lot of them have mental health problems. A lot of them, could be helped actually by decent social work. I mean, the thing about Prevent is it was brought in as to prevent Islamic Islamic crimes.
Yeah, it's an anti-terror scheme, yeah.
But but very specifically, it was working with the Islamic community, and then then it changed. So a lot of Muslims feel that Prevent is working against them, and then it had to move to the far right and what are called MOO, which is mixed unknown motives, and then you think, what is a terrorist, right? I mean, the Southport killer was not a terrorist; he was a psychopath. Is a psychopath.
Well, that's the thing. It was those motives, as you're saying, it's not specifically an ideology, it's just obsessed with extreme violence, and that's something I think that was highlighted in Lord Anderson's report yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, the Southport killer, would have been perfectly happy. In fact, he wanted to do a school school killing, but his father stopped him. So the next day, he went and did the little girls instead. I mean, he was a man obsessed with violence, and that's why it's got to change so that you're not looking at radicalisation where actually you don't know. Ideology doesn't actually do it. It's violent people.
OK, we've run out of time, but we'll see you back in the next hour. Scarlett and Freddie, thank you so much. And meanwhile, we're going to take a quick break now for the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A bit more cloud for most places today compared to yesterday. Still pretty warm and humid across the southeast, and later on some thunderstorms possible in Northern Ireland. We've seen a little bit of rain in Northern Ireland through the night. That's now pushing into southwest Scotland. A bit dull and damp to start the day over northwest England, parts of Wales and the Midlands. Much of eastern England, northern Scotland staying dry and bright, but increasing amounts of cloud pushing in here. And then later on, say the potential for some big showers and thunderstorms across Northern Ireland. Much of East Anglia, the southeast, stays dry, warm and humid here, 27, 28. Elsewhere, we're into the low 20s generally. Should hang on to some fine weather over northern Scotland for most of the day. Sunny spells likely here, but cloud and some outbreaks of rain in western parts of Scotland on and off through the day. Not much, I don't think, getting to Edinburgh. But in Northern Ireland, we do have to watch out for some heavy thundery showers, particularly over the west, developing through the afternoon, lasting into the evening, dropping a lot of rain in a short space of time. It could cause some disruption. Bit of showery rain heading across the Midlands at times, probably brightening up in Wales and southwest England after quite a lot of cloud this morning, but then further cloud pushing in overnight. The heavy downpours should clear from Northern Ireland through the evening. We'll keep some outbreaks of rain going across Scotland, especially in the north and the west. One or two heavy showers possible elsewhere, but much of the Midlands, eastern England staying dry overnight, perhaps turning a bit misty, especially around some coast as temperatures hold up at 15, 16 degrees Celsius. Friday, we keep the fairly mixed picture with, again, the highest temperatures across the southeast, 30 degrees is possible. Quite cloudy across many central areas to begin with. That cloud should tend to break up, providing one or two showers here and there. But again, late in the day, the possibility of some heavy showers developing for Northern Ireland, maybe western Scotland as well. Low 20s here, but as I said, maybe 30 tomorrow in the southeast.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed Heat Pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M74, a southbound restriction at junction 18 causes delays due to an incident. Approach with caution. Warwickshire's M42 northbound near junction 3A experiences 30-minute delays following a collision, with one lane closed. Normal traffic is expected between 10:15 and 10:30. A collision on the eastbound A27 in West Sussex between the A24 South and the junction with the A2025 has closed all lanes. Normal conditions are expected around 9. And on the trains, disruptions continue between London Euston and Watford Junction. Remember to allow additional time. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Afghan data disaster raises concerns of eye-watering compensation payout.
Rumours the taxpayer could foot the bill for up to £1 billion in damages.
As questions are raised about who in the government knew what and why it was hidden from us.
The Prime Minister suspends 4 Labour MPs after a series of rebellions, but could they jump ship and join a new Jeremy Corbyn far-left coalition?
And Sir Keir Starmer gets on with business as he prepares to meet the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz in hopes of signing a shared defence deal.
Pakistani airlines are allowed into Britain for the first time in 5 years, but just why has the government chosen now to lift the ban? We'll be getting the details with Charlie Peters.
And BBC backlash. The broadcaster's head of news allegedly claims Hamas's government is different to its military wing amid an ongoing documentary row.
And Prince Harry is in his element as he meets school children in Angola before visiting the very landmine field Princess Diana famously walked through.
And meanwhile, happy birthday, Queen Camilla. Her Majesty releases a new portrait to mark her 78th birthday today.
It's been revealed immigration is on track to rise faster here in Britain than in any other major European nation. We'll be debating, is Brexit to blame for the population boom?
The 153rd Open Championship is underway at Royal Portrush. We'll have more on that throughout the morning. Meanwhile, in boxing, Alexander Usyk is in London ahead of his Wembley showdown with Daniel Dubois, with Tyson Fury eyeing a third shot at the Ukrainian. And Manchester United legend Teddy Sheringham has aimed some stinging criticism at Marcus Rashford.
Morning. A real mishmash of meteorology today. Some warmth and humidity across the southeast. Generally a lot more cloud compared to yesterday, and the potential for some thunderstorms across Northern Ireland later on. Join me later for all the details.
Good morning. It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Dawn Neeson.
And I'm Cameron Walker, and this is GB News Breakfast. Lots of you have been getting in touch regarding Prince Harry in Angola, visiting landmines like his mother did 30-odd years ago. Mixed opinions, Dawn, wouldn't you say?
Not actually, couldn't find any complimentary ones, to be honest with you. Lots of you are claiming that he is just using his mum to promote himself.
Well,
you're the royal expert on this one, Cameron. What do you think?
I am the royal expert. The photograph was very similar. Of course, we see him on the front of a Telegraph as well, wearing the protective gear as he walks through a landmine field. I mean, look, on the one hand, Prince Harry is patron of the Halo Trust, which works to clear landmines so children don't literally get blown up by a legacy of a civil war that happened in that country. He, I think, is trying to turn the dial now and focus a bit more on his humanitarian work. But I can see why so many of you are highly critical of Prince Harry, following everything he said about his family in Spare, in the Netflix series and all the rest of it. Will you ever forgive him?
Well, on the upside is not in the kitchen in Montecito making jam with the missus.
True, true.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
On the downside, this coincides with his mother-in-law's birthday.
Yeah.
And it's knocked Camilla off the front page. If you look at the front pages of all your newspapers today, the royal picture on there is Harry looking exactly as Diana did, with the blue. If you're listening on the radio, it's got the blue, the bomb-proof vest on, and you know, exactly the same kind of shot. And it's not Camilla off those front pages.
No, I think the Times is the only paper that's got
Times.
Queen Camilla on the front page. The rest of it are featuring a royal. It's Prince Harry.
You have to wonder. OK, now we are going to be joined by Shadow Minister for Crime, Policing and Fire, Matt Vickers. Matt, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Matt, we obviously have to start with the story that's on the front page of all our newspapers this morning, the mess that is the Afghanistan situation. You were part of that government at the time. I mean, do you owe the public an apology over this?
Well, good morning. I wasn't really well. I was a backbench MP, so I know as much as you, really. I know what I've read from the papers. Utter mess. Disastrous data breach that has real consequences for those who were involved and the threat to them, but also for the taxpayer who's picking up the tab for this. Lessons need to be learned. People do need to be held to account for the role they played in that, and we need to make sure it can never, ever, ever happen again.
Of course, this is going to be a huge cost to the British taxpayer. Of course, we've heard the £850 million figure. But on top of that, the paper's reporting this morning that there's going to be a huge legal bill, as these Afghans who are being resettled could well claim compensation from the government.
Yeah, I mean, utterly devastating in terms of the outcome of it. But actually, did we have... Well, we did have a responsibility to those people. They did their bit for Britain, and fundamentally, our services let them down. That data breach just should never have been allowed to happen. It's terrifying.
Matt, as you say, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to the people that helped our forces in Afghanistan at the time. Not just our translators, but the cooks, the drivers, everybody involved. However, there are a lot of people on this list that we don't know who they are. We don't know the reasons for being over here. But what we do know is that Afghanis are more than 20 times more likely to account for sexual offence convictions than British citizens. What are you going to do to ensure that British women and girls are safe?
Well, I think in that, do you know what? I've been making a lot of noise about this, actually, in the differential arrest rates that different people of different nationalities go through. Fundamentally, the debate around that and the fact that anybody who commits an offence in this country should be removed, and we certainly should not be allowing people to come here who pose a threat to British citizens in such a way. If there's one person who has arrived in this country and has a history of doing such a thing, then that's one person too many, and they should not be allowed to stay, and they should be deported immediately.
But how much do politicians, because I mean it's Conservatives and the Labour Party here, how much do politicians know exactly about who is coming into the country?
Well, I mean, in the case of these Afghanis, we should know all about them because we know who these individuals are that are arriving. But then in the case of people who arrive in this country illegally, very little is known, which makes it utterly terrifying. That's why we should be removing them all.
The problem is with the Afghanis, you don't know who they are. You don't know what their background is. We know that, well, some of the stories today that sex offenders are amongst them.
Well, I don't know that there's any evidence that there are sex offenders amongst them, but we do know who they are because we had that list that was the subject of the data breach. So we do know who these individuals are, and they should be getting checked. The authorities should be checking every one of those individuals. Any one of them that poses a risk should be removed. I understand that there's been things said about them, but I haven't seen any evidence yet that any of those people are. So I always think it's dangerous for someone like me to comment if there's no firm evidence that that's the case.
Matt, in your view, who should be held accounts to this? Should it be the individual who leaked this list? Should it be someone higher up in authority? Because there's a number of former ministers speaking on the record yesterday saying that, you know, people alleging that people were covering this up, and that this clearly has caused a lot of tension in terms of more money that the taxpayers are having to pay on this.
Well, the individual who breached the security around this and allowed that list to fall into the wrong hands is ultimately responsible. I think they should definitely be held to account. I think fundamentally we have to look at, there are all sorts of safeguards and checks that should be in place on data like this, particularly in the Ministry of Defence. We need to look at where those failings were specifically and who is responsible for allowing flawed systems that let this data get into the wrong hands. Because, as we've said, huge consequences for the British taxpayer and huge consequences for the people who were named on that list.
Matt, we had a survey earlier in the week that 90% of the British public do not trust the political classes. This situation isn't going to help that, is it?
No, well, I think it's damaging for people's confidence in the government. It's damaging for people's confidence in the Ministry of Defence, and it's damaging for people's confidence probably in politicians as well.
Matt, we've heard from Lord David Anderson about the Prevent scheme, and he's found that the anti-terror scheme Prevent has failed to provide help that may have stopped the killers of the 3 girls in Southport last year, and the MP Sir David Amess. What now should be done with that anti-terror scheme to make sure it's up to scratch?
I think the entire thing needs to be looked at in the round. I mean, when you look at these outcomes, the thought that what went on in Southport could be prevented is terrifying. You know, it's just not acceptable that they think they've missed this and it's cost people their lives. I mean, Sir David Amess, I knew Sir David Amess well, an incredible guy who had so much more to give to public life, just an incredible individual whose life was cut short. And then when you hear the story and how many opportunities, because it wasn't once that it was missed, it wasn't twice, there seems to have been a series of errors that allowed individuals like this to slip through the net. Fundamentally, it's broken, and we need to go back to the drawing board, look again at what's going on and how we fix this so this can never happen again. Opportunities to prevent these situations cannot be allowed to carry on.
Matt, Prevent have been failing for a long time. Why didn't you do something about it when you were in power?
I think fundamentally, but lots of people would tell you of all the cases that are solved and are fixed. But today we've got it in black and white in that report of somebody who's looked at this, who's investigated it objectively and found those flaws, has found what's gone wrong, has found the opportunities that were missed. And one of the things that actually you do need to look at with Prevent is the fact that its case law, it's something like 93% of all deaths as a result of terrorism in this country since the 90s as a result of Islamist terrorism. Yet the caseload of Prevent is something like 13% of it is looking at Islamist terrorism. We need to get on top of that. We need to make sure that what they are looking at is the right thing, that some of these these ideological terrorists are investigated properly, and we're looking at what is the real threat.
But if you'd have done something when you were in power, Matt, your government, or you personally, obviously, maybe those 3 little girls in Southport would still be alive.
Well, I think that Prevent is constantly being reviewed and constantly being looked at. Today we've got the evidence, the black and white evidence of someone who's looked at it objectively and found factual failings. I don't think that necessarily that has happened on such a scale before, that it's been as black and white as that. And these things may have been more effective at points in their existence than they are now.
Matt, we've heard this morning that Pakistani Airlines will be allowed to fly back into Britain for the first time in 5 years. What's your initial reaction to that? Has the government made the right decision by giving it the green light? And are we getting anything in return for that?
I think, you know what, you've got to look at the facts that present themselves. I'm sure that the government has looked at those facts, looked at the case and what that means for us. I don't know that we're getting anything out of it other than opening that doorway and seeing where it goes to.
Matt, I think we've run out of time there, but thank you very much for joining us. Matt Vickers, MP, Shadow Minister for Crime, Policing and Fire. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Matt. OK, with us in the studio now is GB News political correspondent Catherine Forster. Catherine, good to see you. Catherine, what do you make of what Matt's just said?
Well, particularly on the Afghan debacle, a couple of things he said that I think everyone will agree with, that there's huge consequences and it's incredibly damaging for people's confident. So a couple of big developments overnight on this story. First, the news that potentially there could be legal claims now from people that were on this list put in danger that could cost up to £1 billion. There's one law firm based in Manchester that's thinking that it could get £100 billion. Taxpayers' money.
100 billion?
That's right. No, it's a million.
Oh,
sorry.
million, OK.
100 million. 100 million pounds of taxpayers' money, because they basically could take 25% of whatever successful claims the lawyers would get to keep. And obviously, there's thousands and thousands of Afghans, on this list. There was 100,000 potentially put at risk through that breach. So that's another potential big expense for the taxpayer. Also, there's likely to be legal challenges because the government has now closed this scheme. And then we've got a deep dive by The Telegraph today into what was happening in government with the Conservatives when all this was found out by the Ministry of Defence. And fundamentally, it seems that it was the Ministry of Defence against everybody else. So people like James Cleverly, who was Foreign Secretary, Suella Braverman, who was Home Secretary initially, Laura Trott, who was in the Treasury, had big rows, apparently, worries about the cost, worries about national security, worries about the practicability of bringing these people in. And Ben Wallace was the Defence Secretary who got wind of this leak. It was he that applied for the injunction, though he stood down immediately before that injunction came in. Grant Shapps, who then took over from him, sort of subcontracted it to James Heappey, the Armed Forces Minister. But there was clearly a huge amount of bad blood at the top of the cabinet about this. But of course, most of the MPs, as we heard, Matt Vickers, didn't know anything about it. We know that Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the opposition, didn't know anything about this, we're told, until Monday. Meanwhile, of course, there are various people in the press trying to get this brought to light. And this super injunction put a stop to that until literally 2 days ago.
And meanwhile, Suella Braverman's husband has stood down from Reform. Why is he distancing himself from the party or vice versa?
Yes, so basically this row, Zia Youssef, former chair, of course, of Reform, he's now got a different role, was pretty hard, took a very hard line view publicly on Conservative ministers, talked about perhaps some of them should be in jail, talked about treason. That upset Suella Braverman's husband, who had joined Reform, and he's resigned from Reform. But I think it was really interesting. Suella Braverman put out a statement yesterday, and the language that she used at the end, she said that the system that enabled this cover-up must be dismantled. Now, that, to me, sounds like exactly the sort of sentence that you would expect to hear from Nigel Farage.
It very much, doesn't it? You know, the state apparatus thinks it can hide its failures behind legal technicalities while ordinary people pay the price. Very much straight out Reform playbook.
Indeed, indeed. So, I mean, this is obviously a gift to Reform, an absolute gift to Reform, a nightmare for the Conservatives. Now the scrutiny begins. There'll be select committees investigating this. This is not going to go away. We're only at the very beginning.
Great, and it's going to cost us even more money. Catherine Forster, thank you very much indeed. Yes, well, let us know what you think about all this. gbnews.com/your say. Are you angry? I mean, are you worried about how much it's going to cost us? Are you worried, if you're a woman, about your safety with all these people coming in? I mean, we don't know who they are. That's the bottom line with this. We don't know who they are.
Yeah, who's coming into the country, how many, and of course this is completely separate from how many are coming across on small boats.
Yes, indeed. But, the weather might cheer you up.
Fingers crossed.
Here's Alex Deakin with the details for you.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A bit more cloud for most places today compared to yesterday. Still pretty warm and humid across the southeast, and later on, some thunderstorms possible in Northern Ireland. We've seen a little bit of rain in Northern Ireland through the night. That's now pushing into southwest Scotland, a bit dull and damp to start the day over northwest England, parts of Wales and the Midlands. Much of eastern England, northern Scotland staying dry and bright, but increasing amounts of cloud pushing in here. And then later on, say the potential for some big showers and thunderstorms across Northern Ireland. Much of East Anglia, the southeast, stays dry, warm and humid here, 27, 28. Elsewhere, we're into the low 20s generally. Should hang on to some fine weather over northern Scotland for most of the day. Sunny spells likely here, but clouds and some outbreaks of rain in western parts of Scotland on and off through the day. Not much, I don't think, getting to Edinburgh. But in Northern Ireland, we do have to watch out for some heavy thundery showers, particularly over the west, developing through the afternoon, lasting into the evening, dropping a lot of rain in a short space of time. It could cause some disruption. Bit of showery rain heading across the Midlands at times, probably brightening up in Wales and southwest England after quite a lot of cloud this morning, but then further cloud pushing in overnight. The heavy downpours should clear from Northern Ireland through the evening. We'll keep some outbreaks of rain going across Scotland, especially in the north and the west. 1 or 2 heavy showers possible elsewhere, but much of the Midlands, eastern England staying dry overnight, perhaps turning a bit misty, especially around some coast as temperatures hold up at 15, 16 degrees Celsius. Friday, we keep the fairly mixed picture with, again, the highest temperatures across the southeast, 30 degrees is possible. Quite cloudy across many central areas to begin with. That cloud should tend to break up, providing 1 or 2 showers here and there. But again, late in the day, the possibility of some heavy showers developing for Northern Ireland, maybe western Scotland as well. Low 20s here, but as I said, maybe 30 tomorrow in the southeast.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Still to come, the population is expected to rise in Britain faster than any other major European nation. We're debating, is it Brexit's fault? That's next. This is GB News Breakfast with Cameron and Dawn.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Good afternoon, Britain. A cheerful lollipop man's signature high fives have been stopped in their tracks.
Oh dear. Well, Neil Cotton, believed by local children... sorry. I'll start that all over again. This is a chap called Neil Cotton, and he's beloved by local kids in Howden, East Yorkshire. And he's been told by the council to stop the friendly high-fiving gesture, all in the name of health and safety.
But many parents and motorists are calling it nonsense. No surprises there. So apparently this chap, 57 years old, he spent the last 2 years brightening up the school run in the East Yorkshire town of Howden. There he is, looks like a nice guy, doesn't he? He has a cheerful attitude. He has his signature high fives. The children love it, the parents love it, he loves it. But no, the council says, get on with your job and stop the high fives.
This is the one area of employment where the council's trying to chivvy people on and get them to work harder rather than less hard. But I mean, what have we done in this country where we've sort of abandoned our sense of whimsy? I think adding a sense of whimsy to all jobs, I think, is a fundamental productivity measure, actually. I think if you're enjoying what you're doing, you're going to be doing it better. People are going to go into school or away from school with a smile on their face. What a joyful thing in a town in Yorkshire. I mean, amazing, brilliant. And yet, no, of course, the clipboards have to come out and the dour library monitor style individuals. I bet they're all library monitors at school. They've just got to tell people that they can't have fun.
Yeah, so the children have to be shooied along. They can't be distracted by such frivolities as a high five.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. You're watching and listening to Breakfast with Cameron and Dawn. Thank you so much for your company this morning. Really appreciate it. Now, it is just on 8:22, and it's still time to grab your chance to win our biggest cash prize today. We're not going to sing it this time, are we? It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go on, have a go.
I'll leave that to Eamon. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, leave it to Eamon.
Yeah.
And here's all the details you need for your chance to win it.
This is your chance to enjoy luxury this summer. It's our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. What would you do with that? With all of that cash, you could just chill out, treat yourself and indulge in the finer things in life, somewhere like here, Downhall Hotel and Spa. You really could win the cash giveaway of the summer. Go on, treat yourself.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. Now, we just had one of those embarrassing conversations that you have when there's a slight age difference. And I said to Cameron, sing that number, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Cameron goes, well, was that a song then? I said, yeah, it's from 1964. He goes, oh, my mum was born in 1964.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 28, so the tune was not in my head, but I got it mainly right, didn't I?
You were kind of on the right, yeah.
I was on the wrong, I was along the right lines, but it did upset Dawn a little bit when I told
Talking of ageing, the population is ageing, and we've got more people coming here, evidently, and it is expected to grow faster than any other major EU company.
Yeah, and it's not a baby boom that's causing it. It's in fact far from it, because I think the birth rate's actually going down. But it's actually a rise in immigration. In fact, 75 million people could call the UK home by the end of this century.
Yeah, so we're debating now, should we blame Brexit for our population height? Hey, we've blamed it for everything else, so why not? Joined now by social entrepreneur and broadcaster Krish Kandia and political commentator Suzanne Evans. Oh, I can't wait to get stuck into this one. Krish, let's go with you first. OK, Brexit to blame.
Well, the stats are really with us there. You might remember in 2016, Nigel Farage stood in front of a billboard with thousands of migrants coming to the UK with the big symbol breaking point. And UKIP promised that if we did Brexit, we'd get net migration down to tens of thousands. I think 50,000 was the promise. Well, the stats are telling us that immigration has gone up. It's increased since Brexit. And we now have the largest growing population in Europe. So definitely the statistics are with us. I don't think that's a bad thing, though. I think because of immigration, we've got a more stable NHS. We've got doctors from India, nurses from Nigeria. We've got students from China. That's been really good for our education sector. So it's an unexpected benefit of Brexit that our immigration has gone up.
Suzanne, how come Brexit hasn't reduced migration as was promised?
Because quite simply, there isn't the political will to reduce immigration. It's very easy to look at a cause of something or an effect and say, oh, this is the cause. I mean, this is an absolutely nonsensical connection here. Immigration on the rise has absolutely nothing to do with Brexit whatsoever. Nigel Farage might have said one thing. Let's not forget, on the other side, on the anti-Brexit side, people were saying it will give a message to migrants that they're not welcome in Britain, that Britain will shut the borders. It will be absolutely dreadful. It will be a catastrophe. Well, Well, that obviously didn't happen either, did it? As I say, it's very easy to look at something and decide that that's the cause, and in fact, it's not the cause at all. It is a lack of political will. Let's look at what President Macron of France said when he was here last week. I have to say I totally agreed with him. The fact that we have such a big immigrant population is partly because of the pull factors. Welfare, for example. In what other country in the world can you come to Britain and immediately claim welfare as a foreign national? I can't think of a single one, but here we are in the UK paying out some 12 billion to foreign nationals in universal credit and £6 billion in housing subsidies. There's a very good reason that Britain is very attractive to many migrants, particularly those who are low skilled or on very low wages or indeed not even working at all. And it's got absolutely nothing to do with Brexit.
I mean, Krish, to be fair, even the French have said, Macron himself said that you've got to do something about the pull factor. The bottom line is everybody wants to come to the UK.
President Macron said it was because of Brexit that it's harder for the UK to return failed asylum seekers. So
you've got to play.
So, look, the stats are against us. The public is against it now, too. 62% of people think Brexit was a mistake. Only 11% think it's been a success. So I don't know why we keep banging the drum that Brexit's been a good thing when the evidence is against us. Can you think of a single positive thing that Brexit has brought to our country?
Suzanne?
Yeah, well, I think, as I say, I very much campaigned for Brexit. And I think the problem is, and we knew this when we were campaigning for Brexit, that there were so many opportunities there, but the government of the day had to embrace them. And of course, successive governments have not embraced them. We've not really had a government post-Brexit that has actually embraced it and been prepared to deliver on the deal that we talked about in the Brexit campaign. And I think that is a massive, massive shame. And it's people, who are so anti-Brexit, who are still pretty much running the country and who want to do away with it. I mean, Keir Starmer himself, now Prime Minister, he's arguably very much betraying Brexit. There's a report out this morning showing that while there was 4 policy areas that were still subject to EU rules and regulations, there are now 21 since Keir Starmer took office. He has been backsliding like crazy on Brexit and doing the exact opposite of what we all voted for in 2016.
Boris Johnson came to power on a promise of an oven-ready Brexit deal, so he was about as pro-Brexit as you can get. He did not deliver any of the promises. Where's the £350 million a month for the NHS? It hasn't delivered. It hasn't delivered.
The NHS has had far more than that £350 million, far more. And the NHS is a whole new debate. I find it, very interesting that the NHS is still being used as this kind of political football. For a start, the fact it hasn't had extra money is total nonsense. And you mentioned yourself, about how the NHS relies on immigrants. Well, first of all, it doesn't rely on them. But I also find it utterly objectionable that we're taking skilled medical professionals from other countries that need them far more than we do, frankly. We should be training up more.
There's a point we actually agree on. I think we do need
doctors and nurses from desperately poor countries.
I actually agree with you there, Suzanne, that we shouldn't be reliant on immigrants, but the fact is we are. We're reliant on immigrants for our care homes, to provide for our elderly, and even the England football teams. England football teams dependent on immigration to get as far as we can. So I think we have one point of agreement that we shouldn't be reliant on the world's medical professionals.
Chris, can I just ask you about Suzanne's point about, welfare? And you make the point that immigration, in your opinion, is a good thing and the population growth is a good thing for this country. But the welfare bill, in terms of the amount of money that the government has to pay to all these individuals, is going up and up and up. The NHS is breaking at its seams. There's too many people in the system. Too many people need help. An ageing population. How can you say that immigration is potentially a good thing?
Well, Cameron, they'll often say you're more likely to be served by an immigrant in the NHS than to have an immigrant ahead of you in the queue. Also, immigrants pay more in tax than they take out in welfare, so they're a net positive. Just look at our education system. So we get £41 billion a year through international students, and actually the reduction in international students is causing many universities to go bust. So we are absolutely reliant on immigration. It's a positive. And as we've been seeing, our population will be in decline because we're not having babies. So we'd actually be a smaller country if it wasn't for immigration. We wouldn't be able to pay our way in the world and be the international force that we are.
Suzanne, final word?
£18 billion could be saved if we weren't paying foreign nationals benefits. That is a massive boost to the economy. We're not deporting foreign criminals. The way the whole immigration system works is utterly shameful, completely wrong, and most people now can see through that and want it changed.
We've run out of time on that debate, but Krish is coming back later, I believe, which is great. But for now, thank you very much, Krish Kandiah, and political commentator Suzanne Edmonds. Thank you very much. And, of course, it's all about you. What do you think? Is Brexit to blame for the immigration problem? gbnews.com/your say. But now, if you are travelling to work or school, it's time for that traffic and travel update. But don't forget, if you're going out in the car, we're on the radio too.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Significant delays on the M74 southbound at junction 18 due to a road traffic incident. Please allow extra time for your journey. On the M4 eastbound at junction 42, congestion persists after an accident this morning. Meanwhile, in Warwickshire, the M42 northbound at junction 3A faces a road traffic collision with one lane closed and delays up to 1 hour. Lastly, drivers on the A27 eastbound at the A24 south face a complete road closure following a collision. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast and London North Western Railway services are disrupted between London Euston and Watford Junction. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Welcome back. The time 8:33 still to come. It's time to go through the sports with Aidan McGee. That's next. This is GB News Breakfast with Cameron and Dawn.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Time 8:37. Time to go through the sport now with Aidan McGee. Good morning to you. Tyson Fury wants a third shot at Usyk.
He does indeed. Now, Usyk is in action this weekend, Cameron, and he's up against Daniel Dubois, who's a champion in his own right. It's to unify the belts. It's the second fight they've had. I think it's about 18 months ago. Dubois, arguably the man who troubled Usyk most. He's unbeaten in his career, Usyk, but he hit him, and it looked like it was a defining punch of the fight. It was going to floor him, but it was actually judged to be slightly below the belt. But many people felt, don't know, was it? And a lot of people felt that it was a legitimate knockout. But anyway, Usyk got up and finished off the fight and won it. But look, it doesn't really matter the result of this fight at the weekend. If Usyk loses or whether he wins, there's still going to be commercial value in Tyson Fury having a third go at Usyk. It's also some mischief as well. So I think linking himself with the Usyk fight also says, well, Anthony Joshua, is it on the table or not? I might want to fight him, I might not. Now, that's a blockbuster as well. We're not going to learn a great deal from that fight either, but people will watch it. And Frank Warren's on the show at the weekend, so I'm sure he'll tell us more.
Yeah, well, of course, 80,000 people at Wembley, right?
Without doubt, yeah. I mean, that's up there with Froch against Groves in 2014. I mean, that was a fantastic night. I mean, we had a brilliant knockout as well in about the fifth round. But if we see those sort of fireworks this weekend, it'll be well worth watching.
How much money is involved in this fight?
The purse for this one, I'm not actually clear on it. They've been a bit circumspect about it, but I mean, I know that Usyk has earned £200 million in his last 3 fights.
200 million for 3 fights.
Yep.
Gosh.
So I think it's about, well, actually, I think the figure's close to 180. But you got to fight the British contenders, and you got to get behind paywalls to earn real money out of this, and there's huge money. That's why no wonder Tyson Fury fancies a third shot.
Hey, I'd get in the ring for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Should we fight now?
Yeah, I'd go for it.
What else is going on? Marcus Rashford, he's been criticised quite a lot, isn't he?
Yeah,
Barcelona.
by Teddy Sheringham. Now, look, Teddy Sheringham's won 3 Premier League titles. He was part of the treble-winning side. He scored in the final. He's got 51 caps for England. He has every right to criticise someone if he wants to. He doesn't open his mouth too often, which is why his criticism really does sting. Now, I'll just read you a couple of paragraphs of what he said about Marcus Rashford, who has flattered to deceive at United in the last couple of years. Went on loan to Aston Villa, 2 goals in 10 games. Wasn't really played in his preferred position, and he was off the bench a lot of the time. But look, here's what Sheringham said. He said, if you assess where Rashford is at as a professional footballer, you strive as a youngster to get to the very top and play for United. And when you're there, you appreciate it. You don't throw it away and want to leave. From my perspective, if you go from United to Barcelona, that's a step he has not deserved. And he went on to say, I find the whole episode very soul-destroying compared to the way I was back in the day and how I strove to get the privilege to play for such a huge football club. Now, if I was Marcus Rashford, I wouldn't like hearing that, because you know that United fans will actually attach some credence to those words because, as I said, he doesn't say them often. And he's done a hell of a lot in the game, a hell of a lot more than Marcus Rashford has, that's for sure.
Yeah. There is also criticism of Rashford from all quarters about getting too much involved in politics.
Oh, without doubt.
Concentrate on the football.
It's kind of moved on now a little bit.
Yeah, but it's still there.
Like a professionalism at Man United, going on big benders out in Belfast and not turn out for training on time. I mean, what sort of mentality does that show? When he's 27 now, probably 26 at the time. You can't turn up for training at Man United. No wonder he's been sent out in the cold. He has to train after 5 o'clock on his own now at the club. He's itching for a move to Barcelona, but although they've held talks with his camp, there's no firm evidence that they actually want to sign him.
Meanwhile, you never get the England ladies staggering out of bars and going mad in Ibiza. No, not when they're playing a match tonight.
No, they've got Sweden's night. They've got their work cut out. Sweden are an outstanding side. Pace on the wings, experience in midfield. They wiped the floor with Germany in the group stages as well. And let's hear now from Serena Wiegmann ahead of tonight's quarter-final.
I expect a very competitive game where it's very hard to predict the outcome. And of course, they've had a very good group stage series, like the 3 wins they had. But I think we are in a very good place too, and we're ready to go. So hopefully we can show that tomorrow. We know they have some qualities. They're good in the air, and they want to give the crosses. They have some speed up front too. So we're going to try to prevent that. And of course, that it helps when we have the ball a little bit more than they have.
So that's Serena. Now, you know what? When the camp was looking a little bit disjointed in the lead up to the tournament, she remained as cool as ice. And after a bad start against France, they've flown back at everybody, all the critics, with 2 big wins, 10 goals in 2 games, in the following 2 games after that, against Wales and the Netherlands. We'll see what happens tonight. As I say, tough game, but I'm expecting them to win by 2 goals to 1. As I put my neck on the line last hour.
That's a kiss of death, Aidan McGee. Oh, my God.
Good luck to the Lionesses tonight, 8 o'clock.
Good to see you this morning.
Nice to see you.
OK, now, coming up, we have a real treat for you. We have got the papers with Freddie Gray and Scarlett Maguire. But, oh, there you are. That's a lovely wave, Freddie. Well done. If you are in search of some holiday sun, here is a forecast for those top European destinations.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Lots of hot, strong sunshine around the Mediterranean at the moment. A few showers are possible in Sicily and inland over Turkey. We may just see 1 or 2 showers. Most of the coasts here dry and sunny. Much of the Greek islands also dry, fine and sunny. 1 or 2 showers through the spine of Italy, but again, the coast's dry and fine. Northern parts of Spain may see a bit more cloud and a few showers. Quite a brisk wind blowing over the Canaries, but it's going to be hot in Tenerife. Temperatures just dipping a little bit here into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Yeah, so I got the news on 4th of April, right in between GB Team Selection Series, which hurt even more because I was leading in the points. But all of a sudden, I get a phone call being told you're banned from attending any part of UK premises, banned from speaking with your teammates or staff, which was the most brutal part of it, and suspended, or whatever word you want to use.
I think, though, Kurt, that, posting subscription-only saucy content online might get you in a little bit of trouble, or did it not cross your mind?
No, for sure. But I want to make it clear that I have tried things in the past. I've been living life on the edge so many years. We moved from Latvia in 2010, been living life on the edge since then, done everything from working freelance long into the long nights, working at the Amazon warehouse. I have seeked out other alternatives. But in December last year, I got to a point, a realization where I thought, is it worth it? Or can I find an alternative? And I knew of other GB athletes doing it. I didn't think it was going to cause outrage like this.
Yeah, because I was thinking, a nice chap like you, who's obviously very talented with your sport, you could make some money doing, like online fitness training or personal training and things like that don't involve, getting your kit off.
No, for sure. I've been making content for like 6-7 years now. Over 1,000 of the pieces of content have been inspirational, motivational. I've visited over 30 schools in the UK, going to the hardest parts of the UK, inspiring kids from underprivileged backgrounds to get into sport. I've tried that, but I don't know. I found that in this day and age, unless you are smart or find some little controversial thing you can hold on to, it's going to be hard to get attention and sponsorship.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
OK.
Welcome back. Time is 8:46. Time to go through the papers with Freddie and Scarlett. We've had some breaking news in the last hour that Jaguar Land Rover is going to be cutting 500 management jobs in the UK. What's behind it? How worried should we be that this is going to be a trend of big companies?
Oh, no, I think this is a very specific thing, because it's quite interesting, because they say, oh, no, this is just normal business practice. 500 people going, and then you look at their sales figures and you realise, I mean, they had the new ads that had no cars but people.
Oh my God, those weird adverts!
Yes.
I forgot about those.
Right,
Yes.
and so you look at their sales figures, which, I mean, predictably are not great, and then they are losing 500 people. Most, they say, voluntary redundancy, but it's it's clearly that this is a one-off, that it's got nothing to do with anything else.
Freddie won't go broke.
Well, possibly a bit of that, but I'm afraid it's probably also the tariffs. The uncertainty around Donald Trump's tariffs is causing a lot of big headaches for and you know, we thought we were getting carve-outs because of the deal between UK and the US, but actually on cars, Trump seems pretty adamant. I think that's probably driving a lot of these firings.
Because there is a lot of exports from the UK of Jaguar Land Rover products to the United States.
That was their big market, and they've paused production. They've done all sorts of. In a way, they had a triple whammy. I mean, they had tariffs and then everything else.
It's scary, isn't it, though, because it's another example of a established British brand being damaged by things presumably outside of their control, like Trump tariffs.
Yeah, well, actually, when I was last in Washington, I went to the ambassador's residence, Peter Mandelson's residence, and he was having a party to mark the King's birthday, and there was a row of Land Rover Jaguars, just, you know, sort of to promote the brand and so on. It's an important business for Britain. So this is bad news, and I think we've started no, we haven't, not the first. Every time we've been on, the last 3 times, we've started talking about bad economic news. I think this summer's going to be really, really bad economic news, I'm afraid. I think it's going to get worse.
I mean, the problem is there isn't any good, is there?
No, it is. Yeah. All the warning signals are flashing red.
They really are, aren't they? Should we change tack completely, though, and talk about the BBC? Because we love talking about the BBC, don't we? This is a story that's on the Telegraph Online. It's a BBC executive telling staff that the Hamas government is different to the Hamas military.
OK, this is quite complicated. I mean, technically, she is right. OK, that there's an enormous. Somebody had to run Gaza. Yep. I mean, Hamas, but it is a prescribed organisation.
Yes, so
all of it is prescribed. There's no question about that. But actually, I mean, if you were, I think it was a Deputy Minister of Agriculture. So the story is that the BBC did this programme, and it was narrated by a 13-year-old boy whose father was, I believe, the Deputy Agriculture Minister in Gaza, and the BBC didn't know about it. They hadn't.
It was an independent production.
The independent had not done due process, which they really should have done. But actually, it doesn't mean he was a Hamas militant. I mean, he was just, you know, a sort of their equivalent of a civil servant, right? I mean, people did have to run Hamas. It was a crazy thing for the BBC woman to say, but I do understand why she said it.
And this is the head of news, Deborah Turness of the BBC, is who we're talking about.
I think you're looking perplexed.
I mean, it's just insane, isn't it? I mean, the BBC got caught effectively doing Hamas propaganda. I don't think that's a too strong a way of putting it.
I do think it's too strong a way of putting it.
Well, but I mean, he was the son of the Deputy Minister for Agriculture, and he was narrating the show. Anyway, but they pulled it, and they should be embarrassed by it. It was an editorial failure. Will you admit that it's an editorial failure?
No, of course it was an editorial failure.
A major editorial failure.
Of an independent production company rather than the BBC.
And now, yeah, exactly. But I mean, it almost got through. And now Deborah Turness is trying to sort of justify it on the grounds that there's a difference between Hamas, the government, and Hamas, the military, which, of course, there is. But that's not the source of the embarrassment. The source of the embarrassment is that they were going to run a show that was effectively the voice of Hamas, pretending to be independent, objective journalism.
Yeah, and the first rule of holes is surely just stop digging, just say, hands up.
No, I mean, that was the problem, is she should have just said, it was a terrible error, we didn't look into it properly, the independent company didn't look into it properly, you know, we've got processes to make sure it doesn't end.
Meanwhile,
that's when you
look
shut
over here
up.
at MasterChef. Oh, no, don't. Where do you want to go next? Should we talk about the DNA and the baby story? Who's got this one?
That's you, Scott.
Scarlett,
Right. So this is
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking Jurassic Park. Are they using frog DNA?
So what they're saying is that if you use... It's really complicated.
We're
so
giving you the complicated
it's
one.
IVF, and you have the parents who want to have a baby, and then you put in an extra egg. That actually what it does is it gets rid of hereditary diseases. And so for some couples who are frightened of having a child who might inherit a really bad disease, which happens. This looks... And so they've done it 8 times. They think it will work. I mean, actually, for those couples, for those people who are in families where there is hereditary disease, it can make the whole difference. I mean, it means that they can have children that are healthy. So it is fantastic, actually. And it's quite interesting. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the first IVF baby, I think, which was called Louise Brown.
Yeah, it's Louise Brown.
Louise Brown. And now,
Cameron.
what they're saying is, you know, there'll be an IVF baby in every classroom. I mean, that's how everybody, I mean, not everybody, lots and lots of people do IVF. And this could be another breakthrough so that people can have children.
Freddie, I'm just thinking when the child grows up and gets its DNA tested, for whatever reason, it's going to go, hold on a minute. What's going on here?
Well, there are always... I mean, as Scarlett says, you know, the possibilities for good news from this story are great. But there is always the designer baby fear. You know, are we going down a kind of unethical path towards, you know, sort of fiddling with genetics in ways that I think a lot of people find quite discomforting?
Yeah, especially with 3 different adults creating one baby. I know it's only a very small percentage of DNA that's coming from the third adult, but the point still stands, Scarlett. It's not natural, is it? It's kind of scientific.
No, it's not natural. IVF, frankly, isn't natural either. I mean, you know, I mean, Freddie's right. You have to think about it. But actually, if you're one of these parents, for you, it's a complete breakthrough, because it is... I mean, it's terrible, these children being born, and then you find out that they've got some debilitating disease and they're not going to live, you know, beyond the age of 20. It's really... And so it could make the whole difference to an awful lot of people.
OK.
I
think we've run out of time there. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us. I think we have to read a quick response from the BBC, do we? No, we don't, evidently. No. OK, marvellous. Well, thank you very much, Scarlett and Freddie. Thank you. And, yeah, go straight to the weather then, shall we?
Here's Alex Deacon.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A bit more cloud for most places today compared to yesterday. Still pretty warm and humid across the southeast, and later on, some thunderstorms possible in Northern Ireland. We've seen a little bit of rain in Northern Ireland through the night. That's now pushing into southwest Scotland. A bit dull and damp to start the day over northwest England, parts of Wales and the Midlands. Much of eastern England, northern Scotland staying dry and bright, but increasing amounts of cloud pushing in here. And then later on, say the potential for some big showers and thunderstorms across Northern Ireland. Much of East Anglia, the southeast, stays dry, warm and humid here, 27, 28. Elsewhere, we're into the low 20s generally. Should hang on to some fine weather over northern Scotland for most of the day. Sunny spells likely here, but clouds and some outbreaks of rain in western parts of Scotland on and off through the day. Not much, I don't think, getting to Edinburgh. But in Northern Ireland, we do have to watch out for some heavy thundery showers, particularly over the west, developing through the afternoon, lasting into the evening, dropping a lot of rain in a short space of time that could cause some disruption. Bit of showery rain heading across the Midlands at times, probably brightening up in Wales and southwest England after quite a lot of cloud this morning, but then further cloud pushing in overnight. The heavy downpours should clear from Northern Ireland through the evening. We'll keep some outbreaks of rain going across Scotland, especially in the north and the west. 1 or 2 heavy showers possible elsewhere, but much of the Midlands, eastern England staying dry overnight, perhaps turning a bit misty, especially around some coast as temperatures hold up at 15, 16 degrees Celsius. Friday, we keep the fairly mixed picture with, again, the highest temperatures across the southeast. 30 degrees is possible. Quite cloudy across many central areas to begin with. That cloud should tend to break up, providing 1 or 2 showers here and there. But again, late in the day, the possibility of some heavy showers developing for Northern Ireland, maybe Western Scotland as well. Low 20s here, but as I said, maybe 30 tomorrow in the southeast.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M8 eastbound is restricted between junctions 3 and 2 due to a hazard. Drivers should allow extra time. Roadworks continue on the A470 northbound with diversions in place. In Warwickshire, a collision on the M42 northbound at junction 3A has closed one lane, delaying traffic by 20 minutes. In West Sussex, the A27 eastbound is fully closed between the A24 south and A20025 due to an incident. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast and London North Western Railway face disruptions between London Euston and Watford Junction. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash. So make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. The Afghan data disaster raises concerns of eye-watering compensation payout.
Rumours the taxpayer could foot the bill for up to £1 billion in damages.
As questions are raised about who in government knew what and why it was hidden in plain sight. Here's what Conservative MP Matt Vickers had to say earlier.
Utter mess. Disastrous data breach that has real consequences for those who were involved and the threat to them, but also for the taxpayer who's picking up the tab for this. Lessons need to be learned. People do need to be held to account.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister suspends 4 Labour MPs after a series of rebellions. But could they jump ship and join a new Jeremy Corbyn-led far-left coalition?
Yes, the Prime Minister sent a warning with these suspensions, trying to regain his authority. But will it work? There are lots of very unhappy Labour MPs.
Plus, some breaking news. Unemployment is at a 4-year high after this morning's figures revealed 4.7% of Britons are not in work.
Sakir gets on with business as he prepares to meet the German Chancellor in the hopes of signing a shared defence deal.
And Pakistani airlines are allowed into Britain for the first time in 5 years. But just why has the government chosen now to lift that ban? We'll be getting the details with Charlie Peters.
And BBC backlash. The broadcaster's head of news allegedly claims Hamas's government is different to its military wing amid an ongoing documentary row.
And Prince Harry... And Prince Harry is in his element as he meets school children in Angola before visiting the Bury landmine field Princess Diana famously walked through those years ago.
And happy birthday to Queen Camilla. Her Majesty has released a new photograph marking her 78th birthday today.
Morning. A real mishmash of meteorology today. Some warmth and humidity across the southeast. Generally a lot more cloud compared to yesterday, and the potential for some thunderstorms across Northern Ireland later on. Join me later for all the details.
Good morning. It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Dawn Neeson.
And I'm Cameron Walker, and this is GB News Breakfast. The BBC controversy continues with, it was an internal meeting, wasn't it, with the BBC's head of news, Deborah Turness, attempting to reassure staff that the documentary narrated by a little boy who subsequently we found out that his father was a Hamas government official, Deputy Agriculture Minister, and that caused a hoo-ha. BBC has to pull the documentary. Anyway, Deborah Turness, the BBC's head of news, has allegedly told staff that there is a difference between the Hamas military arm, which his father was not a part of, and the government itself.
Basically, it's not a good week for the BBC, is it? And lots of people are going, right, OK, they are a proscribed terrorist organisation, so it doesn't matter whether you're in the Agriculture Department or you're actually in the military department, you are still part of Hamas, who are a prescribed terrorist organisation. Yeah. So it's not a good week for the BBC. But the spokesman for the BBC have said the BBC constantly makes clear on our programmes and platforms that Hamas are a proscribed terrorist organisation by the UK government and others. We're also clear that we need to describe to our audience the complexities of life in Gaza, including within the structure of Hamas, which has run the civilian functions of Gaza.
Deborah Turness was answering a question about how we described the father of the narrator in our Warzone film. She did not imply that Hamas are not a single terrorist organisation.
OK, evidently I'm not allowed to make any comment on that, so I won't. But gbnews.com/yoursay if you want to have a comment, you're allowed. Now, to our top story. There's concerns compensation claims over the breach of thousands of Afghans' data could be as high as £1 billion.
Yes, lawyers working on the case have allegedly already signed up thousands of those impacted, and these include Afghans who have, as a result of the leak, been granted asylum status here in the United Kingdom.
We're joined now by social entrepreneur and broadcaster Krish Kandaya. Krish, thank you very much for joining us this morning. This has been staggering on with an enormous amount of figures, lots of zeros involved for 3 days now. To be honest with you, I'm still none the wiser about exactly who knew what when, how much it's going to cost her, and what the hell's going on, and what's the end game here now.
It's a huge story. I wonder if we can humanise it, rather thinking about how much it's going to cost the taxpayer. Imagine you or I, our home details were given to the Taliban, so they would know who we were, who our children were, who our parents were. I would be absolutely livid that they'd put my family in danger, and I'd expect some kind of witness protection programme. And I think basically that's what the government tried to do. I'm kind of sympathetic with Ben Wallace, who was the minister at the time. He tried, I think, to do the right thing. But if you think about the bigger picture, we have not treated Afghans well. We were in their country for 20 years. We relied on local people to provide us with intelligence, interpretation, security. We employed women judges who would then go and prosecute the Taliban. And then we just all withdrew very quickly, so quickly that the local police and military just had no backup, and the Taliban just swarmed in. And you might remember those pictures of the summer of 2021 when people were throwing their babies to military personnel, trying to get them out of danger, suicide bombers there, and people clinging on the outside of aeroplanes. So it was a mess then, and then this data breach, and now a lot of people are just angry. I mean, I looked at a YouGov poll. I think it's about 62% of Britons think that we owe a moral responsibility to the Afghan people, and this has been a mess. And we need to not stop a programme because it might cost us some money. I think we need to honour promises that we made to vulnerable people.
Well, I think a lot of people are angry because the data leaked in the first place.
Sure.
So the question, therefore, is, inevitably, is going to cost money because of, you know, getting them here and also the legal costs involved. But do heads need to roll? Should somebody, a single person, be held to account? Is it the individual who actually leaked the data, or is it someone higher up?
That's a really tough question. I mean, the idea that someone could share such sensitive information outside of any security protocols. I mean, I've definitely sent my fair share of emails that I shouldn't have done to the wrong people, so we've all done that. But the idea there isn't a system in place to stop you doing that seems ridiculous, particularly as sensitive as it is. It's like the stuff out of an espionage movie, isn't it? How could they? Normally, if you think about Mission Impossible, the list is in a kind of secure vault that you have to kind of rappel down from a ceiling. But here in Britain, you can attach it to an email and send it outside of a security zone. That seems mad.
It does seem very peculiar. Chris, I think, as you say, everybody has sympathy towards the Afghans and their families that helped the British out while we were out there. Not just the interpreters, but the cooks, the drivers. So many people are involved in this. Everybody has sympathy with those people. But there is an awful lot of people that appear to be on this list. Surely more than actually were genuinely helping out. We don't know who a lot of these people are, or indeed their reasons for coming to the UK.
Sure, I think there was a vetting process going on, and they needed to find out who had a legitimate claim and who didn't. But once you're on that list, owned by the UK, and if that's then shared with people, that they're people that we've offered to help, the Taliban don't know whether they were successful or unsuccessful. They just think, oh, these people work with Britain, so we've put them in danger, whether they were serving our military or not. Does that make sense?
And the British government can't confirm or refuses to confirm how many Afghans have been harmed by the Taliban as a result of this leak. And I don't think we're ever going to know the answer to that, are we?
It's so difficult, isn't it? Because it's not just the person that served as a cook or a translator. Your whole family are now in danger, aren't they? And how far out do your family would you go? Like your parents, your grandchildren? It's so difficult to tell. I think we've just got to put the humanity back in this story. I've heard so many people talk about the cost to the taxpayer. Yes, that's important, but actually war, sadly, costs lots of money. I think we spent about £32 billion in Afghanistan in our military operation. So we should sadly have to include this as part of that cost.
I think a lot of the anger, Chris, finally, is coming from people being angry with our government, the way this was handled, putting Afghans' life in danger, but also the cover-up. It was a cock-up leading to a cover-up, and that seems to be where we are now.
Again, I'm sympathetic. Look, no one should be sharing that kind of information. That's out of order, but it ought to be in a better system. But once that information is out there, I can understand why you wouldn't want to broadcast that this list exists and might be close to Taliban hands. So I do understand a little bit why they needed to keep that secret.
OK, Krish, thank you very much for joining us this morning. That is Krish Kandaya, social entrepreneur and broadcaster, joining us. Meanwhile...
Thank you. Meanwhile, in the Labour camp, 4 rebel MPs have been suspended for breaches of discipline.
Neil Duncan-Jordan, Brian Leishman, Chris Hincliffe and Rachel Maskell have had their party whips removed. Let's get more on that story with GB News political correspondent Catherine Forster. Catherine, this one is like more chaos for the Labour Party, basically.
Yes, indeed. And quite curious timing, I think, because yesterday, this Afghan debacle, a lot of blame at the Conservatives' door, a sort of circular firing squad going on about who's to blame there. And yet Labour chose to take the whip off of 4 rebels and some junior trade envoy roles from 3 more for what they say repeated breaches of party discipline. And of course, These are people that the government say have repeatedly rebelled. 3 of them only came in the general election last year, but Rachel Maskell had been a Labour MP for 10 years. They will all now sit as independents. And she had led the final welfare revolt a couple of weeks ago. Now, it seems to me that the government has ended up in the sort of worst of all possible worlds here. They didn't handle the need to cut the welfare bill well. They didn't bring MPs with them. They basically have lost all of the money that they'd planned to save because they ended up having to gut the bill pretty much just before it was being voted on. They've upset dozens of Labour MPs, and now to send a signal, to send a warning going forward, they have suspended some of them. Now, there's some Labour MPs think this is absolutely fair enough. The Prime Minister has got to teach them a lesson, stamp his authority on them. But there's others that are deeply unhappy, and all the suspended MPs have basically said, look, I've ultimately got to do what I think is the right thing for my constituents. And look, it's very difficult to vote for taking money from disabled people. So will it stop the sort of hemorrhaging of the Prime Minister's authority? Will the party be united when they come back in September? Well, let's see.
Let's see. Meanwhile, Catherine, unemployment at a 4-year high. What's behind that?
Yeah, so more bad economic data today. Employment is up to 4.7%. That's the highest level in 4 years. And this follows more bad news yesterday. Inflation up to 3.6%. So also the annual rate of pay growth has slowed, and vacancies have fallen and now at their sort of lowest level in a decade. So a lot of bad economic news for a government a year in, saying that it needs and wants growth. Those growth projections have been slashed, and some criticism that some of the effect on unemployment has been because of decisions that the government made, in other words, putting up national insurance on employers and reducing the threshold, which you have to start paying it. So, yeah, bad news.
Thank you very much there. Oh, my gosh. Indeed. Growth. Going for growth, just not in the right numbers, evidently, there. OK, but we are going for growth because we could give you £54,321. It's our biggest cash giveaway today, and here are the details for you.
We're here at Downhall in Essex to enjoy the finer things in life, and it's your chance to win £54,321 in cash. It's like having an extra £1,000 in your bank account each week for a whole year, which means that you'd be able to indulge in treats whenever you wanted to. That extra cash each week could send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing this year to enable you to sit back, relax and do nothing. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck with that. Still to come, Charlie Peters joins us to discuss the end of the ban on Pakistan Airlines. What's behind it? That's next.
Indeed.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
where Anna Riley, our intrepid reporter, is doing the toughest job in television right now, which is enjoying the sunshine. Anna.
Yes, Tom, it's definitely a tough gig for me today, I'll tell you. I'm on the Bridlington Fun Park ride here. This is the zero gravity ride. This fun park is, off we go. This fun park is right next to the sea. Oh, it goes quite quickly, I'll tell you. And people are out enjoying rides like this one. Off we go. It's a great boost for tourism, and we've been speaking to people here in Bridlington about what's so great about the sunshine. Let's have a listen.
We're on holiday. We've been here since last Friday, so we can't complain. It's been beautiful, and we're here till Monday, so we're really looking forward to the hot weather. As you can see, the sunbird.
It's lovely. It really is very nice. It's absolutely gorgeous. We deserve it, definitely.
It's good. We like the warm weather.
Yes, very nice. Loving it. Yes, like the
warm enough.
weather.
Woo! Well, this ride is showing no signs of stopping, and neither is the sunshine. We're getting that heat wave at the weekend. Enjoy the weather and enjoy fun rides like this one. Get to Bridlington and get to the fun park. Woo! Oh my gosh!
Absolute bravo, Anna Riley. What an incredible piece of television. I hope they let you off at some point.
I thought they'd only do it once or twice. Bless her.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Oh, at the same time.
we did.
Jinx, it's taken, 3 hours?
Yes.
And we're finally in sync by talking at the same time. Welcome back. You're watching and listening to Breakfast with Cameron and Dawn.
Now, hopes of the government securing a deal to deport grooming gang rapists to Pakistan in exchange for an end to the ban on Pakistan Airlines has been dashed.
Yeah, that's after plans revealed by GB News last month that Pakistani ministers had suggested to a Foreign Office delegation that abusers could be deported if the country's airlines were permitted to return to Britain.
Well, joining us now is our very own Charlie Peters. Good morning to you. Are we getting anything in return for Pakistani Airlines being allowed back to Britain?
Well, yeah, they're flying back, and I have to say that government sources really poured cold water on this story when we revealed it last month, but a few days later, everyone else had chased up our sources and confirmed what we'd found to be true. So the argument from what we've heard from Pakistan is that their ministers put forward this proposal that they would finally accept some deportations of some of the worst, the most vile abusers in exchange for this airline returning. It's been banned for about 5 years.
Why did we stop it in the first place?
Well, it had a security and safety issues specifically. There were issues, I believe, with pilots' licences being faked, perhaps.
Okay.
Lots of allegations around there about the airline safety. Now, the approval of the airline, we're told, is a completely separate and independent process. On the British side, there has also and always been a sort of pushback against this idea that there was ever possibly a deal. But we do know that the Pakistani side did push that forward. That's now off the table, leading to many to question what bargaining chips do Britain still have available to them to get some more deportations over the line. We do know from our sources in Whitehall that David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, and Hamish Falconer, one of his ministers, were extremely keen to push forward the deportation of 2 key Rochdale abusers as part of their visit to the country earlier this year. They wanted that done, actually, before Casey's audit, her review, came out last month. They couldn't get it over the line. So what is still on the table? Well, opposition figures and MPs have said that the government should now push further and say that if Pakistan doesn't accept the deportation of these abusers and other serious criminals as well as not just grooming gang offenders who are still living or being kept in Britain after their sentences have concluded, then perhaps there are new measures that should be taken. So Tory and Reform figures are suggesting that aid could be suspended to Pakistan, or there should be visa penalties. Tens of thousands of Pakistanis still come to Britain on work visas or study visas or as dependents. And they say that if we're allowing that to happen, if we're giving Islamabad that option, why can't we do the same and say, no, let's not have that anymore until we get those offenders deported?
And has Labour responded to any of these calls?
They haven't. I don't think it's something that they want to do. I think it's highly unlikely we're going to see high-level battles between both sides on this issue. And one of the reasons for that is there was such a significant pushback from the Pakistani delegation when this was raised earlier this year by David Lammy. Now, we understand that the Interior Minister, the most senior Home Minister in Pakistan, told this Foreign Office team that they were concerned that if they accepted more abusers, then it would open the floodgates to several more to be deported. But of course, that's what we want. That's
the point. That is literally the point.
That is exactly what should happen. That's what it should happen according to the law in this country. But for so many reasons that we've spoken about so many times, ECHR, Human Rights Act, that's always been blocked, and people have been able to spend millions in legal aid, taxpayer-funded, to resist attempts to deportation.
And meanwhile, the victims are still walking the streets of these towns, bumping into the people that ruined their lives.
Precisely. It's a real travesty.
Gosh, well, we know you're going to be keeping up to date on this.
Yes,
Charlie, thank you.
Charlie, thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, up next, it's British Newsroom. We've got to read something first, sorry.
Yeah.
Speaking for the Foreign Office and the Department for Transport, a government spokeswoman told GB News the decisions on delisting states and air carriers from the UK air safety list are an independent process overseen by the UK Air Safety Committee.
Following close engagement with the Pakistan Civil Aviation Authority over several months, the committee has judged that necessary safety improvements have been made since its original decision and has decided to remove Pakistan and its air carriers from the list.
Right, and finally, we have Ben and Bev with us for Britain's Newsroom, coming up at 9:30. Good morning to both of you. What's coming up on the show?
I'm just going to say this, right? You look like an angel.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that was so good of you to say that about Bev.
You look like a naughty little devil, like you always look. Bev, you do look like an angel in that gorgeous white dress.
Thank you. We just had a discussion with Catherine Forster as to whether white is right, but on a summer's day,
absolutely.
I think it's lovely.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, really
nice.
nice.
Not too bridal.
We're both matching with red as well. Red tie.
We are. We did the matchy breakfast thing that has to be done. Yes.
Yes. So, what are we going to be talking about?
We've got the Sunday Telegraph's Alistair Heath on the show. Very excited to speak to him.
Brilliant journalist.
Did you know that the Afghans who came here under the resettlement scheme, the new one, are now potentially suing the UK government and the taxpayers for £1 billion for the data leak? Grateful? Much?
It's a bit more than 850 million, isn't it, that they've been quoting us?
Yeah, it's really astonishing, actually. What else are we talking about? Ed Davey saying that, obviously, Keir Starmer has to launch a full inquiry into this Afghan data leak. We're going to be talking about that a little bit more as well. Is that what we want? Do we need an inquiry, another public inquiry that would be expensive, that will take a very long time? We've got Carol Malone in the show today as well, and a new guest, Councillor Sebastian Salek, who is forthright.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show. See you in just a tick. That's after your weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A bit more cloud for most places today compared to yesterday. Still pretty warm and humid across the southeast, and later on some thunderstorms possible in Northern Ireland. We've seen a little bit of rain in Northern Ireland through the night. That's now pushing into southwest Scotland. A bit dull and damp to start the day over northwest England, parts of Wales and the Midlands. Much of eastern England, northern Scotland staying dry and bright, but increasing amounts of cloud pushing in here. And then later on, say the potential for some big showers and thunderstorms across Northern Ireland. Much of East Anglia, the southeast, stays dry, warm and humid here, 27, 28. Elsewhere, we're into the low 20s generally. Should hang on to some fine weather over northern Scotland for most of the day. Sunny spells likely here, but clouds and some outbreaks of rain in western parts of Scotland on and off through the day. Not much, I don't think, getting to Edinburgh. But in Northern Ireland, we do have to watch out for some heavy thundery showers, particularly over the west, developing through the afternoon, lasting into the evening, dropping a lot of rain in a short space of time.